and gentlemen. Welcome to the 449th episode of the GeekVerse podcast. I am the Clown Prince of Podcast, Trasnell, and I'm joined by...
the Councilman, Kirklin Patzer.
Yeah, I'm Harcaster Dilmos.
The Chief Taylor Field.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we got a newscast, but we got a little bit of Townhall up front, so it's going to be a good one. A few little announcements, some fun conversations and stuff like that. But Taylor Field, where can they find us soon? It's about to be a very busy month.
Ladies and gentlemen, you can find us with your internet connection in the search bar. GeekVerse.ca is our homepage. GeekVerseCast is our Twitter. GeekVerse on our Facebook. Be sure to check us out on the Facebook because there will be a new fan-based community poll popping up there soon. And you can find more stuff on the Patreon.
All right, he turned into a puppeteer there. I'm not sure what happened, but yeah, the Patreon, you can do that right now. You can get episodes ad-free, exclusive, and early, and as you're going to be hearing today, that's a big way to support us. The links are down below. You know the whole rigmarole. I'm going fast because we got lots to talk about tonight, but yeah, everything, how to find us, look for us, listen to us, watch us. It's all there. And finally, this week, we just dropped Batman Year 1 comic versions. Kirklin and Taylor's first ever reading of a DC or Batman comic book, so that was a fun time. We got 2 newscasts this week. We'll have Boba Fett review dropping, so that'll be pretty big. And then Peacemaker, so we got a packed week already. And then Friday, 6 p.m. PST, we have the GeekVerse Gauntlet, the new level, and on the New Year, it's the first event. This is going to be, I'll have to throw it to Taylor and Dylan first, because I think this will likely be the last time you guys see each other before this. Dylan, how confident are you feeling? A couple more days, Halo Infinite?
I gotta say, I am incredibly confident. I've been playing a lot of Halo Infinite. I've tried to play every single day in the month of January. I haven't hit that goal, but I've played a lot. Got a lot of practice in, and I gotta say, I'm like top of the kill board on these Halo lobbies. So Taylor, I'm pretty heated. I'm ready to go.
I'm glad to hear that because I've actually been playing almost every day as well.
Ooh.
I've actually been averaging top scoreboard and playing a lot of attrition, doing the events. I'm ranking up all my gear and everything like that. I've been going at it hard. So I'm very glad to hear that because not hearing much from you on it, I was like, oh, I wonder if he's playing it. Like I know you reached out like, I go, let's play like Rainbow Six Extraction. I'm like, no, I gotta play some Halo. I gotta get some practice.
Oh, you
time.
didn't even answer me in the Discord.
I know.
You
I
just
was like...
totally screened me so you could go play some Halo. Come on, you can at least say no, I'm busy. Oh, okay, I like it though. I respect it.
Well, Kirkland, there's part of me that hopes they're just both bluffing and they're both too busy. They haven't even touched the game.
Haven't even installed the game.
Haven't even installed it. And then Kirkland, you've had a really nice run, but you got a few more days, so you got to give that title up to me. You could just forfeit it. We could just do that, and you could save your confidence and everything like that. But if you want to lose in a blaze of glory, you can do that as well. So
This has just been such a long time coming. I feel like I'm almost getting tired of the trash talk, but no, it's exciting. Anytime I can defend a sports title, I'm excited for that because. I mean, it's going to be a never-ending thing. This is going to happen, then you're going to lose all your confidence. A few years down the line, you're going to get your confidence back. You're going to come crawling back, and then I'm going to just knock you down again. So we'll see. We'll see what happens, I guess. But
well, I'm glad you like defending a title because really savor it. Like, really savor it this time because it's going to be a while before you're defending one. I already took the team title from you last summer with Taylor Field, now a sports title, and that's it. So
you've been playing every day of January like these two?
Absolutely not. I even forget the games we're playing. I know it's Mario Baseball, and there's 2 other ones in there. I got to look them up, but you know what? I'm going to trust the gaming gods are with me. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's coming up this Friday. Lots of fun. Always a good time. So, we got some stuff to talk about before we get to the news. We got a town hall. We did a town hall, I think, about 6 months ago when we talked about the general direction of GeekVerse, everything. It's not going to be as long as I'd say it's going to be 10, 15 minutes. As always, you got the cutout. So if you're just here for the news, there you go. But this is a little update to kind of what you expect. Because usually we do that at the beginning of the year, but we kind of had January as like a buffer to try and get some things in order, some, T's crossed, some I's dotted, stuff like that. So I guess what I can start off by saying, and it's a weird thing to say. So I remember a few years ago, I was at a party with Emily, and one of her friends talked to me about the podcasting and whatnot. And I described like how much I did. Like, oh, I do this day, and we have to do this, and then they're like, oh, like, so it's like a job, right? I'm like, well, no, not really. And Emily just looked at me like, oh, it's a job. And no, like, I don't think I could really call it a job. Now, this is what I want to say. a big thank you to everybody. Of course, these 3 men in the booth here. Jessica as well, who was the original of the 5. Then you got Briggs, you got Kyle, who jumped on it multiple times. And then just a multitude of different guest people, whether it was Liam, whether it was Ruben, whether it was the podcast network people, whether it's like Saracen Connor that came on for Gauntlets. Like, people have shared and liked and retweeted and done this for years out of the kindness of their heart. And that's a good thing, because I can officially say, it's a weird thing to say, but we are officially business owners, because that little logo you see up there, if you're watching the right or left corner, I don't know what your video is, there will be one day, I'll have to get Taylor to make one of a GeekVerse INC which would mean GeekVerse Incorporated. We are officially an incorporation. This is officially a part-time job. Now, this is where I'm going to say, if you guys say, oh, you guys got the studio, you got everything. No, nothing's really changing big time. There you go. Yeah, it's not like we've made it big. We've made it Hollywood. No, but it's to the point where everyone between listeners and helpers is growing to the point where we are in a point where this is growing and we have to do certain things. You have to do certain things with taxes. And the biggest thing I can just say is, as a thank you to everyone that came on board this year, or everyone old that helped push us from 2020 to 2021, we had a 718% growth. That's like a nominal, astronomical growth that I didn't think we would have, especially, we've always told the story, when COVID started, things were very, very down. Yes, S-Bubs, we're going to have to celebrate releasing that Geek First NFT, so Taylor, start working on that. Never going to happen. But yeah, it's one of those things that happened, and it happened a lot quicker than I thought. And again, we have a lot of hard work to put in, but it's a crazy thing that now there's a lot of things that going forward. I think the best way I can say this is, we're announced this, we want this up front because we couldn't have done any of this well, all of you, but it's also something that you're not going to see the immediate effects, but down the line, it's really going to pay off. And it's a thing that now you can say that, any 1-stars out there didn't say we took it seriously. We took it seriously enough to get to this point, and it's a crazy thing. It's weird that we started this in Dylan's basement just with one Blue Yeti, and that's why I can say, like, this is officially phase 4, because phase 1 was had the Yeti and whatever. Phase 2 was, we all got our own microphones. Look how cool this is. And then phase 3 we did about a year ago, where it's like, okay, we're going to do more than, we're going to start doing multiple casts and stuff like that. And now we're at this point where literally we have this schedule. I might share it at one point, but we have days where we are podcasting almost every day, and there's going to be a collection of people. And that's what I want to say, is because these things have afforded us to do more shows, or they're going to afford us to do things like, and that's where I'm going to throw it to a certain somebody, and then everyone's going to get their chance to talk, except for Kirklin, because he can talk if he gives me the belt. But no, everyone's going to get a chance to talk, because we want to do more types of content, and you've seen that before. And the biggest one we talked about last year was we did the surveys and whatnot, and some things that came out was gaming content. I think, as you've probably noticed, if you're a longtime fan, you've seen like Dylan pop up here and there a bit more and whatnot, and that's what things can afford us to do, because Dylan's a busy guy. He got some lovely lady. I don't want to name drop because I don't know, but you got a lovely lady. You got a job of your own. You got your own special projects. So that's where, so at least for the next little bit, we got, as like studios keep getting bought up every day, we got big games coming up. So we thought, okay, this year we want to, start doing some more gaming content, see how that goes. We want to jump in with both feet, and there's no one better to bring on board with Dylan Musk. So anything you want to say to the fans, but also, so how this is going to work for, at least for the next few months, and we're gonna, that's why we do town halls. We always like to gauge on. I think probably at the end of the year we'll do another survey, because it just works, because it's like, it's good to always get feedback. It's good you guys get to do that anonymously, so if you want to say something that's negative, you don't feel bad. That's what we appreciate. But the goal is, what we're going to be doing for the next little bit is a gaming show or content every week. So obviously with big reviews coming up, we're going to be doing that, but every week it's going to be Dylan and a guest. And I think I can say next week the first episode's going to be Dylan, Kirklin, Patzer kicking it off. So I'm not sure what they're going to be talking about.
Not quite. The week,
You're so
the week
close.
after
Yeah.
is Kirklin. The week
Oh
after
shit! there you go. So that I gotta look at their schedule. But Dylan Musk, anything you want to say there?
Yeah, well, yeah, first of all, thank you to everyone so much. I mean, Travis was talking about how last year the podcast grew this insane amount. And last year I was not on the podcast that much. You maybe thought I was on it more than not because of maybe some retros that were recorded long
100%,
ago.
yeah.
But I haven't really been in the boat. I've kind of been off of my own raft, swimming around. But I'm really excited to be coming back in. in a full-time capacity. Obviously it's not a full-time job, but like a full-time, like I'll be here every week.
You'll be weekly.
Multiple times a week. So that feels good to say. It feels good to be back. I'm really excited to kind of go on this journey with you guys and with the fans as well. But yeah, the weekly gaming show, like that, honestly is one of the major reasons why I kind of dipped for some time. Is like I just wasn't really watching movies, wasn't really watching shows, and I was always just playing a lot of video games. But it just didn't really line up for that to be like podcast content. And so now we have the means because of all the fans to, make this a weekly thing, and that's really exciting for me. Like just a quick peek as to what to look forward to in February. Like, gonna bring a Pokemon review for you guys, and then me and Kirklin are reviewing Sifu, and then me and Travis are gonna review Horizon. Then we're gonna have a review for Elden Ring, and then a review for Triangle Strategy. Like, we got reviews coming out for the next 5 weeks in itself, and that's really exciting. And I just can't wait to keep it going, talking about the news topics, some retros in there, some rankings, all that fun stuff. So it's gonna be a lot of fun. And then along with that, also some Out of Mana. Out of Mana is coming back as well for the Out of Mana fans. Me and Taylor are going to do that this month as well. So a lot of gaming content, which is very exciting for me and hopefully for the fans as well.
Yeah, and I think as we've talked about, there's just so much going on right now. It's a really fun time. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to looking at the schedule and getting my ducks in a row. I've been buried in it, but Big Wumbo with giving us our own. Now that Dylan's back, you're gonna have to give us his own name. I don't even know how I got mine. He said, "Let's fucking go, boys. Studio or not, you all make fire content that makes work a breeze." Shout out to Trav Patty, Kirk the Dirk, and
Drick.
Kirk the Drick.
It must be Dirk. He must have misspelled.
And Jim Farm Taylor, bless the boys. So
I don't know these references. I'm.
I think it was about 2 weeks ago he could drop Trav Patty on me. I don't know where it is, but we just found Big Wumbo a few weeks ago, so it's we always welcome more people. But yeah, so look out for that. And here's the thing, as usual, right now we have that as like we're always going to try our best, but it's tough with revolving doors. But as of right now, we're going to be trying to drop the gaming show every Tuesday. Obviously, things always come up, life, holidays, stuff like that. But that's going to kind of be like the hopefully designated day with news and movie reviews. That all goes over because right now in our schedule we have Obi-Wan May the 4th ? Because right now it's like it might get delayed. That always changes, right? Same thing. Like we're going to be there. I don't know if I'm going to be joining, but at least Kirklin, Taylor, and then Dill might be jumping on. They're going to be doing the weekly Halo reviews of the show. We didn't know the date of that till whatever. So that's why the newscast right now we can't say this is a permanent day because we always used to do every Thursday, but now with movies and a show, it's kind of so that's going to always go around. We're going to try, or at least myself, going to be trying to better start announcing like the entire schedule now that we have lots of people around. The entire schedule at the beginning of the week, so people know okay, this is what, and probably who's going to be on them too. That helps too because if they hate me, then they go okay, I'm going to skip this GeekVerse news this week because Travis is on. But so we got lots of stuff going on. Taylorfield, how you feeling?
Feeling like righteous and
okay, don't say righteous.
That's time, right?
Just a small business owner for a week, and he's like, I'm feeling righteous. Maddie says, congrats, boys. Never stop being yourselves. Provide great content while staying genuine and friendship between you all. Dreamy and love you guys. Thank you very much, Maddie.
Love you, Maddie.
We'll get to your questions later, yeah.
But no, it feels amazing. I never thought I'd be a business owner, and now we're at a point in our lives where like I can slap it down on the wall. Like I'm a business owner of a podcast. Like I think I told you guys a long time ago. Like my resume, I used to put I'm a podcast host on my resume. I always thought it was a justified thing because it was always work, and you got to bring the content and bring the quality to each show you do. So now where it's finally here, we're all business owners together, which is just crazy to think, and I'm excited to see where that goes. And I'm telling you, once we get that studio, the bunk beds are happening. That's something I've been advocating for the longest time. So
yeah, I'm sure everyone will love that. Fiancés and girlfriends and whatnot just sleeping over at the studio. But it'll be handy on the 24-hour stream. The 24-hour stream will be great of a bunk beds. But yeah, you were the first person I ever saw on Facebook. You put one of your job descriptions was podcaster, and I can do that now. So before I I'll throw you Kirkland because I only have a few little things to say about scheduling and whatnot. But Kirkland Pats, or how you feel on the council, man?
Yeah, I mean, like what Taylor said, just it's a weird feeling just saying that like you started a business, especially one that's just abstract like podcasting.
While you say that, well, we had to look into many things of businesses and podcasting because this is so new to Canada. The amount of articles on this type of thing is like under 5% as far as becoming a small business with this. Like there's so many things that doesn't apply to us. We've had to have many meetings and talk to people like, hey, how do we actually like do this? Because it's not a big thing. So it's a weird thing that it's happening because even some places don't even consider it. Like we're technically a radio business is what we are. They don't even have a podcast. We're a radio company, you know?
One day when we're all old and gray, we'll be telling our grandkids about like we're the original podcast.
That category is because of us. We did that.
Yeah. How many searches does it have now for small businesses?
Yeah.
But no, it's just a crazy thing. I feel like it's so easy to not like realize just how much it's growing because we're just so in the now. Just doing it like every day. It's like a snowball effect where like as it gets bigger, just the work gets bigger. But like that's not a bad thing. It's just a way to keep busy and grow the content, grow the now business, which is just again weird to say. I feel like every once in a while I'll just like have a moment where I'll just like think about it and like, wow, this is actually absurd just how big it's gotten. It's gotten to a point where like it's almost just growing like on its own. Like even if we're not putting like an episode out a certain day, like we're still seeing growth from just reaching different avenues on past content. Like it's still weird. Like our past content's getting a lot of views when we re-release those because people just have interest on it, and big rip to that mic quality of the early days, but still it's a good stark contrast for where we started to where we are now and just where we're going. And this is our second town hall, and it's just so fun to like again just sit down and like talk to you guys about it, but also just like be clear with like the fans and everyone out that might be listening to this. It's just again it helps us just take a moment and like realize where we are and where we're going, and it's exciting stuff.
Yeah, and I've never wanted to not be transparent with listeners because like stuff like the amount of money that comes in, we can do things like a gaming show. We can do things where I can take off an extra day at work and get to hang out with my kids and then still go podcast later, not be like the either or where it's tough, And that's the thing where it's like even if it's a small amount of money that we make, that does make a difference, and it does legitimately. You guys get more content because of it, and that's what's happening this year. So I was just going to say, so for everything news, you're going to get those usually about twice a week. It's going to be a combination of people, so always look out for that. It's going to depend on when the movies and stuff are. Like I said, the game show's planning to be every Tuesday. Reviews, obviously, movie reviews will be like the Thursday, Friday. I will shout out S-Bubs here because he's been, he's going to be next, S-Bubs. You're going to be in your scoop game. Don't worry, you'll be a business one day. But I've only been listening since May last year, watching since a few months ago, but just love the cast, all the shows. Excited to see where you guys go next. And that's true, S-Bubs. You're sometimes even late. You're here. You're always here with us. So but yeah, so and as far as like other content, comic versions we're still going to be doing. That's going to be kind of a like every few months thing. Like we're doing our Bat Once and Moon Knight. That'll pop up throughout the year. Retrospectives we're doing a little bit less, but not like too much. But these guys already put the Harry Potter retro in the bank. That's releasing in the middle of February because there's 8 weeks. It's already April, and then the new Fantastic Beasts is out. So that's going to be releasing middle of February. You're going to get that. Well, that's releasing, Taylor, we're finally going to do the Jurassic Park / World retrospective.
Well, those thumbnails have been like cooking for a long time in the slow cooker for
he
like
made
5
those
years.
Yeah, he made those thumbnails for Jurassic Park Fallen Kingdom we're going to do, and we just ran out of time, so they're there. We're going to be doing that, and then the only two other retros we're going to be doing this year, because this is just based on survey what people wanted, we'll be doing Avatar in December, which is a nice easy one. Like that's an easy
like
go.
Zombieland, one and done.
Yeah, exactly, one and done. And then of course we're finally going to finish what we started maybe in 2016, the Lord of the Rings retrospective. We will release.
That was 2016. We started that.
Yeah. Because they announced the show. So we will release the Hobbit ones that we recorded. You can get it early on page right now. We will release those 3, and then I imagine most of us will be on those 3, the 3 Lord of the Rings one, and then we'll be reviewing that show weekly. And Kirklin, do you want to tease what you got going on? Because you don't have a timestamp for it, but do you want to tease what you got going on? Because there's an account mate out there and stuff. You were the one teasing it already last week's and stuff. So I'd say this is something that's maybe expected like Q3 of GeekVerse.ca, like somewhere around there, right? So it's not immediate, but it's something you got in the works.
I don't want to say too much, just like NDA reasons and just,
Contract.
We have lawyers now.
So many contracts. There's actual contracts.
There might be an actual name for it out there in the ether, like Taylor was just or Travis was hinting at. But no, I got some exciting things brewing, specifically around the product of Lord of the Rings. And if you like that type of content and you like long form discussion, which I'm sure if you're listening to this, you probably do. Keep your eyes out. There's going to be, I don't even want to say the name just because it's too exciting. But no, I have something planned coming pretty soon. And I like to tease, so maybe I'll just leave it there.
There you go. And then I'm trying to think, like we said, GeekVerse Gauntlet, that's more like a fun passion project. We do 5 events a year. We're doing our first one this year, and then we do 3 others, and that ends off with the charity stream. So we'll be doing that as usual, whether there's like the Comic-Cons or E3, stuff like that, we'll be covering all that good stuff. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I will say this because Carl always brings up very nicely. Carl always brings up, and this is for everybody. So we, and this is why Kirklin, I get why you don't want to tease things. We have announced a movie about a year and a half ago that is not happening. The reason it's not happening, and I've told this before, is we were about to shoot it. COVID happened. Jessica got pregnant, and the guy that's one of our current leads is moving to Trail, which is far away. But the good thing is he's moving back. So we will be doing this, but we have 2 movies. It sounds ambitious, but what the fuck are you talking about? We do have 2 movies that we want to do. I will swear on my gravestone, unless I get hit by a car in the next year, we will be doing this. I have every fiber of my being it's going to happen. I've always wanted to do one, and there's 2 projects we really want to do. The thing was, the first one was a bunch of people, so that's where it's like COVID stopped that, and people's lives just changed. It's on the back burner. That's Podcaster Can Be Murdered. It's going to happen. The other one, we hoped to do it this March, but why we didn't do it is because of this right here. And it's one of these things where that is a full-on, like, gauntlet. That's a passion project. If something takes off from it, great, but that's something that we can make, put out to the world, and it's just for us, and we'd be happy with that. But at the same time, because when we announced that movie, we didn't plan for this to kind of kick off in 2021, like the podcast, for numbers to grow and stuff. It was like, if it was going to be the same as usual, we got free time. That free time has been sucked away from doing extra podcast work and stuff like that. So that's where our goal is to shoot that next year or maybe late this year. But the thing is, we want to really get this up and going. And we don't, because this is the thing. We could do that, but then the podcasting side would suffer. And obviously, I think you guys would imagine if we just started this as a small business, we want to making that as healthy as possible. And Taylor's always said that. I think Taylor, that's one of the biggest things he hates is that we do less of the fun, like video or like segments and stuff like that. And we will get back to that at some day and everything like that. There's people have always said, there may or may not be a third match down the line, Taylor, because we have, kind of ended a little controversy. So we will at one point get back to doing, stuff like Wolf Hard, Work Hard. Like, we will have that fun because we still have fun here, but we just got to get this really up and running so it's like a machine that runs itself. And so, yeah, that's as far as updates. I think for everything you can expect this year, you'll be doing the big movies, TV shows, games, stuff like that. Is there anything you guys want to shout that I've missed that's happening this year? You have any questions or anything you want to say? Tyler Greenhall.
I haven't heard about this second movie, so I'm curious to hear what this second movie is too. But
I can pitch it. Here's a scoop though. Here's a scoop because this is a movie that I wrote specifically just to. So here's 2 scoops. Podcasting Can Be Murder. Taylor's in it, but like he plays a certain type of role in it. This one I wrote specifically with the idea of I wanted to make the GeekVerse's version of The Lighthouse, and I wanted a movie where Taylor can go kind of wild. And it's Taylor and myself, and we're locked in a cabin, and it's all about these 2 guys on a game show fighting for the love of a woman. That's all I can say. That's everything, and it's a crazy movie. Taylor's known some of the plot points, and he's like, I'm not doing that, am I? I'm like, well, no, but I'll do it. But like, there's a few
very ambitious moments. Like, I don't even know why you want to do that.
But because the luckily thing, it's just we need a camera guy, a few other characters. It's me and Taylor in a cabin, and I know so that's a little tease. But I'm not gonna announce the title. It will happen because this is year 6.5. We're small business. This is just the start of it. As you see, we're not stopping. We're going, and get ready because we're just going up and above. But yeah, that's the second tease that will happen in this decade. That's what I'll say, in this decade. So
amazing.
Anything else, gentlemen?
Don't think so.
What do we see in Phase 5? It's gonna be even bigger and brighter, eh?
Phase 5, that's the hopeful full-time or the studio or the big sponsorship deal, because that's the only next step.
Studio,
really.
although that might be like a phase like 7, 8 kind of vibe. But studio someday would be really awesome.
Yeah. Once the shows take place in the metaverse, those events can happen 100%. There you go, Kirklin. His breakthrough scoop will be finding that account. You know, he can do some digging. I bet Espos will find it.
But, he's probably he's probably found it already. He's pretty quick.
But so that's everything. So thank you again for the support. If you guys got any questions, hit me up. Not that you have any questions. Like I said, nothing's really changed. You're just gonna be seeing and hear more of us. And this is the thing I also stress is, so by next week, the first episode of the game show is what? Going to be the 8th, right? That's the plan right now, Dylan? The Tuesday?
Yeah. I think I'm going to record that on Sunday, so it could go up on the Monday, but Monday or Tuesday. Yeah.
And who's that one with?
That's going to be with Dante.
Okay, there you go. So then...
And maybe a special appearance by Jessica.
Okay, right. There you go.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna break a fourth wall thing, and I'm gonna say that you changed the calendar, correct?
I did.
Thing?
Since you gave me permission, I did, took my little fingers and
I'm putting it all together. Perfect. So, look out for that. So this is the last thing I'll stress, because this is a really important thing. With the feed getting so much content, if you like certain content, the gaming stuff is going to have its own feed. The same way the news show has its own feed, the retrospectives have their own feed, and the reviews have their own feed. Because I understand that now when we pump out sometimes 5 to 6 podcasts a week, it's like, oh, this episode's out, and that goes boom, boom, boom. And that's why I think a lot of people that have checked out those solo feeds, because whether they just found them accidentally or they prefer that, go subscribe to those feeds so you don't miss anything. If you listen at all, then great. You're not going to miss a thing. But I know there's some people, if they're just there, you'll find different audiences. So there's going to be a gaming feed. And if you like everything we do, GeekVerse podcast, that has everything. That'll be the full schedule. But if not, they'll be up separately. If Kirkland's thing maybe or maybe not comes and whatnot, there'll be a separate feed for that, just because it gives people both options of, if they listen to everything, then you're all set. But if you listen, I just listen to this, or I comment for a review or a retrospective, or hey, I'm not really in this retrospective right now, I'll unsubscribe, come back later. You have lots of options. So that's what I'd say is those feeds will always be down below. Very important, because you just got choice, and that's always good. So that was fun. Let's get into some news. Let's get into what we came here for. And, speaking of, we started this because of E3, and there's been lots of gaming news recently. A couple weeks ago, we talked about E3 ending. We talked about Activision being bought by Microsoft/Xbox. And now, today, not as big as a purchase, but still a substantial, there's some moves being made. Sony Interactive Entertainment has bought Bungie for, what is it, like 4 point something or 3 point something? It's billions of dollars, but I can't remember what the...
3.6.
3.6. I was just about to say that, damn it. But $3.6 billion. Dilmas, I'm going to start with you. What do you think about this move? Obviously, a few weeks ago, we had the big purchase. Not as big, but still it's quite a legacy that Sony's acquiring as far as a studio and what they've created. Yeah,
it's pretty insane. We think we are looking back at this Xbox One, which was like 70 billion.
Yes.
So this feels like, they just, pennies on this one, just some spare pocket change. But that's still an insane amount of money, especially for a single studio. Now, I think, Bungie's pretty big. I think they have 900 employees or something. So that's a lot of people in that team. But even then, they only have one IP, I think. It's just Destiny that they own. So this seems insanely expensive to me. This is almost half as much as all of Bethesda was.
Yeah.
So this is interesting, because Sony has been making good acquisitions, but small. I think Insomniac was 200 million or something like that, wasn't it? Just that. No, that felt like a lot at the time, but that's that's actual pennies relative to what we're talking about here. So I guess I'm just surprised by the number on this, and obviously, we're a bit jaded now looking at 70 billion. It feels like not that much, but. This seems like a lot of money, but I think it's a good studio for them to have in terms of, filling in that niche of first-person shooter vibes that they lost a lot of recently with that other acquisition. Obviously, that's years away, but once again, anytime you're acquiring a studio like this, it's a investment for the future, because games take a long time to make. But I guess I'm just really curious what Bungie's plans are, what kind of games they have. If they have some new IP, I think they've announced we have some new IP coming, but they haven't really had any trailers or anything like that. So I'm curious what they're working on next. If they take a Sony IP and make a new game with it, like a Killzone or something like this, or if they make something new. I'm really curious to see what they do with this.
Yeah, I'll jump on there because I think you're gonna get like two things at least. You'll definitely get them still continuing Destiny because Destiny's not like a massive game, but it has its core fan
I think
base.
they have a new DLC coming out like next month, like another big expansion. Like it's just huge.
It has a sizable fan base, and they keep making money that way. You could go both ways of a Killzone. I do think that if they acquire this, and well, I guess they are acquiring it, but I mean, like if everything goes through and stuff like that, I think they will probably get them to do something new. Even if they already have some new stuff coming out, they might get, hey, we want something really new for our shooter. Now, here's the thing. I think this is a semi-response to what happened, but at the same time, stuff like this doesn't just happen in 2 weeks, right? They've definitely been talking Bungie for a while. I would, to me, say you're a fool if you didn't think people at Sony maybe caught wind of what Xbox was doing at Activision. And yeah, you could leak it, but like I still think there's enough people that chatter that we didn't hear about it, but they might have been like, hey, they're having some talks over there. Maybe we want to make some bigger moves. And even if not, then clearly let's say Activision never gets bought and they bought Bungie. They still have some sort of plan with that. And maybe it is, hey, we want to really reboot Killzone. We want a shooter, or we just want, this is a lot of people that create Halo, one of the biggest franchises of all time, right? So it's like, it's not a bad resume, and it's not like Destiny is something to slouch over. So I think that it is a response in a way, but at the same time, I think it was always going to happen. I think it's a good acquisition. I think it does fill, we talked about this before, like Killzone, I think is a very low level as far as popularity of what the shooters are out there. So if they do that, if they do something else, cool, but I think it will be something shooter primarily. And as of right now, they said the same thing of like, oh, the games are going to be on all the consoles. I think like Xbox and Sony, they're in the next few years, they're going to have like the biggest game of chicken, to see like who moves. Like I was talking about this with Emily, like I feel like either it's going to be like a utopia and they're going to work together and share everything. Like, okay, we'll give you this if you give us this, or it's going to start, getting cut, boom, 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 and the wars have begun. I think it's that. I think it's just, we're just waiting to see, because the last time we talked about this too was, it's officially came out that if Xbox were to pull Call of Duty, it wouldn't happen to like 2025. The last game is 2024. So we still have a good 2.5 years of Call of Duty and Xbox. So this stuff is not going to be decided for a little bit. So both teams have time to think. And it's so exciting when we get to that point in 2025 to see what other companies are bought, because I watch every day. I'm just like, who's going after EA and who's going after Rockstar? Are they buyable? And everybody got a price. So Taylor, what do you feel? Because obviously you weren't the biggest Destiny fan, but Halo's in your bones there. So how do you feel about this move from Sony?
I think it's definitely got potential. I mean, I don't know if Bungie, with Destiny, I was just doing like some research here, and Destiny 2 is still the second most popular MMO of all time, with a player base of 38.8 million players.
Jesus.
That's pretty damn good. Around
and we're like, oh, it's fine.
Around 700,000 daily users. So that's pretty impressive still, and they're obviously still raking in a lot of dough. PlayStation actually hosts the most players with 38% of that player base, and Xbox is about 22%. So that was just some interesting facts there I found. But I think that in terms of them buying it, they need a shooter no matter what, because the Call of Duty aspect, like you can't just act on the trusting words of Phil Spencer, like, hey, we're just gonna honor it being cross consoles for now and just see how it goes. Can't trust that. So they need to rely on something on their own terms that they can combine. Like Bungie, they can throw the team there with maybe some other members of their other teams that they're working on titles. They can get the ideas flowing and cook up a new IP, which I think is a great thing for them right now. That being said, I feel like them sniffing and getting wind of that, hey, we can buy a Bungie for a few million or $1 billion here, like, let's do it. I feel like that is the result of Xbox maybe, I don't want to say kind of put into the curb a little bit, but just like, hey, we're just kind of not really feeling you guys out right now. We're just going to kind of shift our attention to some other companies, AKA Exhibit A, Activision and Blizzard and all that stuff. So I think that's just kind of showing like maybe a result of like the success of Destiny. Maybe Xbox or Microsoft wasn't a big fan of that because it wasn't exhibiting the same kind of content or reaction that Halo did. Again, this is a great studio in the sense that it got us one of the most significant and prominent video games of all time, which is, Halo. They created, same company that did Halo Reach, Halo 2, Halo 3, all those Halo titles. Like they stand the test of time on their own 2 feet. So it'll be interesting to see what they can really whip up now that they have a larger chunk of money backing them from Sony. So I'm excited to see what comes out of it.
Oh yeah, Sony will definitely get behind. Like if they want to get behind someone, they will. If they don't, like Days Gone, they just want to let you drown in the water, they will. They will not advertise your game. They won't promote it. It's just like, even though I can't remember, it was the creator of Days Gone. It was such a fascinating stat where they're like celebrating this milestone that goes to Tsushima past, and the guy was like, "Hey, we did the same thing with Days Gone," and there wasn't like a single peep from this company, and like. I think if they want to get behind something, they will. And like you're saying, Taylor, I feel like not that it's easy, but Bungie's one of those companies that give, like, if things go right, you could create another classic or another like, oh, must play sort of game, because that's the thing. It's weird. We say, oh, it wasn't as big when you list off those stats. Destiny's still killing it. But I remember the hype of Destiny. I bought Destiny day one because it was this like, okay, this next big thing, So, Kirklin, Taylor, you're just interrupting you,
I just want to drop another interesting thing. Destiny 2 is still estimated to bring in around like $100 to $500 million in revenue every year. So that is still pretty damn good, considering that they paid $3 billion. I mean, let's just say off the top of my head, 6 years they pay it off, their deal right there. If Destiny 2 is still kicking it, so.
Oh yeah, and whatever new things they could get and stuff like that. It's the same thing when you look at, like, because Dylan was talking about other purchases. When you look at even Disney when they bought Star Wars, that was only $4 billion, and obviously like a little bit bigger than Bungie's, but it's just like that paid itself off very quickly. Like it's a big sink at the time, but then like each of the Star Wars movies made $1 billion, like the trilogy. So it's like right there you got pretty much most of it. Same thing. I don't. Luckily, I don't think their company were like, oh man, could they make this money back? It's one of those. Activision, same thing. It's like, yeah, that's a huge purchase, but if you look at that machine and everything they do, man, they'll make that back. So, Kirklin, you're another Sony pony. You're with me. Does this excite you all? You own a PS5. So maybe some new Bungie stuff coming to you exclusively or not? Who knows?
Yeah, it is exciting. I think this is definitely a cool acquisition from Sony. And just again going off. I think it was the head of Sony. He also commented on just like future acquisitions that'll probably be coming here pretty soon. I'm excited what those might be and what the numbers are there, because what Dylan just like brought to light was 3.6 billion. That's a ton of money. I can't even fathom what that is, but it's just so doesn't even compare to like when you hear, upwards of like $80 billion and things like that. Like now we're just speaking like fucking galaxy numbers. This is just ridiculous. But it's just funny how small 3.6 billion can sound. But no, like I'm really excited because Bungie was one of those companies, definitely largely due to Halo, but like when you just heard that name, even in like the 360 era, I feel like that was such a big like company. And then even when leading up to Destiny, like that was such a huge launch. Like I got that game day one as well, just for what was showcased. The game wasn't exactly what I was wanting, but there was just so much potential there. So just take that studio and everything that they've learned just developing Halo and Destiny. Like there's really just, I don't know, positive opportunity there for a future IP. And yeah, like I think Taylor, you were mentioning how, like, let's say Call of Duty it does go to Xbox exclusive. Not only if that is the case, will PlayStation not just hopefully just be forgotten about, because now they'll have Bungie who can lead them with a nice new first-person shooter. But even if that doesn't happen, let's just get more first-person shooters out there that are good. Like, why do we have to wait for exclusivity rights? So I think this is just super exciting and just an opportunity to shake things up. And when you have a developer that fortunately hasn't hit like really bad press lately, like maybe someone like Blizzard, before the purchase, Bethesda, even like I feel like a lot of these big studios that I've always just really cared for, I've been getting hit. Fortunately, that hasn't happened to Bungie yet, and hopefully that never happens, and hopefully we just get good content out of them.
And just to be clear, Bethesda didn't have the same hit Activision.
Yeah, I was wondering, like, did that happen? Like, yeah. I missed that.
Yeah, there was more of a just
a same level. Yeah.
That
Just before
was more
someone
like fan backlash.
Yeah.
I mean,
the
EA
government's
as well.
watching
like,
us.
Just these companies that like I like growing up when you saw those titles, like, oh, this is gonna be a good game, and then just different levels of it, but they still, I feel each of those had their day in the bad press, some way more than others. But no, I'm just really excited to see what new IP comes out and just new new moves that Bungie makes, because I feel like, yeah, it's really cool that Destiny's still sticking around. I remember someone the other day at work was like, asked me to go on Destiny. I'm like, the fuck, they still make that game? And then I kind of remember that like they still have DLCs and stuff like that.
Oh yeah,
so
like all the time.
It is cool that there's a big player base for that. You know, that's awesome. So I just want something new. I want what I wanted Destiny to be. And that's just personal personal opinion. But
I like your reaction there, like, what the fuck? Like, get away from me, you freak. Like,
I just wanted to talk about video games. This guy thinks he's gonna
freak.
guest on a podcast with Kirklin, like in Target when Taylor walked up to me like, "Oh, you talking about Spider-Man?" They did the same thing in Kirklin, and Kirk's like, "What the fuck?" And that was
As if Travis said that, we never would have been here.
yeah.
What the fuck away from you?
Sometimes
Ghost
I
Rider is your
should've-
favorite movie of all time?
Yeah, I should have known at that point. I might have thought he was joking. I want to ask everyone about this, and I'll ask Dylan first. And you might, if you have any points, go ahead and say it. But when do you think is the next big purchase of a company month-wise?
Do you mean like Sony specifically, or
Any Xbox or Sony? When do you think is the next time we're talking of like another? I'll put in the billions or like close to $1 billion, somewhere like that.
Yeah, I'm trying to think back, and like, is January a hotspot for acquiring publishers and studios? Like, is there a reason why these things are happening right
wonder if
now
it's
in
like a
terms of like
fiscal
fiscal
year.
years or
I
something?
think
like
it might be that.
Like,
Yeah.
it's because I don't remember that in the past. I don't remember like, oh, it's January, it's acquiring studio time,
Buying company
it seems like
time.
These things happen just kind of sporadically, and I mean the Bethesda one happened in like October or something in the year that it happened. So
Also put out there, we're a company. You can now buy us for multi-billion dollars.
Yeah,
we're,
Xbox-
we're ready. We're ready to sell.
yeah,
Take 200 mil.
Stadia?
Low ball.
Stadia, GeekVerse podcast exclusive Stadia for a couple million. We'll do it. Let's do it. So
Taylor, how salty would you be if Sony bought us out and not Xbox?
fuck, I'd be happy. I'd be retiring. Let's go. I'd fucking, I'd
you'd be
chill
selling
out
Xbox.
Sony every day. I'd wear the apparel, all that.
the announcement picture would just be Taylor holding a PlayStation 5.
Oh yeah.
But then when
You'd
Xbox.
smile.
Yeah, but then when you turn it around, it has like the Xbox logo, like it's a custom plate on it and stuff like that. And Xbox is right. Low billions and high billions is pretty big difference. But I mean, like, obviously, okay, Activision we saw for what 70 billion plus, but like so far, Bethesda, yeah, I think the next purchase is going to be around, or not, sorry, Bethesda, Bungie is going to be around that, unless it is EA. I think the only other one like that is EA, where you could see like in those double digits of billions, just because they have so many brands for the sports games, and stuff like that. But maybe even Rockstar. Like, Dylan, does Rockstar?
Rockstar's a weird one because
Yeah.
Rockstar has so many studios that we just don't think about. Like, there's like 10 just like Rockstar, like there's like a Rockstar in India, and like I don't know what that studio is working on, but there's just like all these kind of random Rockstar studios all over the place that I think that one, you maybe don't think of it as big of a deal as, I don't know, some of these other publishers, but like they have a lot of studios. I don't know what their employee count is, but I'm sure it's pretty freaking high.
It'd be massive purchase,
So-
I think, too. Like, maybe not as big as
so
these
that
two.
was just
but-
like a lot of logistics that you got to consider. Whereas if
Yeah.
you pick up, Bungie, like obviously that's like almost 1,000 employees. That's a lot of people, but at least it's kind of contained and easier to understand. But I mean, to answer your question, I don't think it's going to take long at all. Like, I feel like for the last like 2 years, the Embracer Group, which we don't really talk about that much because they don't make these big exciting acquisitions, but they're just acquiring studios all the time. I think they actually have more studios than Sony or Microsoft or Tencent, like any of them. They just have because they just have a bunch of smaller ones. So I mean, if an Embracer Group acquires some other random studio, like I feel like these things are just kind of happening all the time now. I don't know when the next like big one will be. I mean, I feel like Microsoft above Phil Spencer's like, okay, we just approved that 68 billion. Like, you got to chill out for a bit, man.
Yeah.
Like, we're gonna wait a bit before we acquire more. But maybe maybe this is like the race, and it just isn't gonna keep accelerating, because even like in the last, I don't know if it's 12 months, but in recent times, like, let's not forget that Sony acquired Blue Point, who obviously they've been working with. They acquired Housemarque, which of course, like, they've been making exclusive games for years, but they finally acquired them. And then also Fire Sprite, which was, I think, like the Astros Playroom and like making VR stuff and things like that. They also acquired them. So like they've been doing a lot in the last year. It's just like they're not acquiring publishers, so it's not like here's just a swath of IP. It's like just single developers. So yeah, I don't know, man. It feels like this is going to be just going on constantly between the Sonys and Microsofts, but also Tencent and also Embracer Group. Like, these are huge, like, just companies with an insane amount of money that we can't understand. And yeah, they're just scooping up everyone at this point. So.
And like this is definitely not like the same level of it, but like I know like Dylan and Kirklin will be on my wavelength. I really think in the next year, and I think it will be Sony, but I think the next year you're gonna see people go after Kojima hard. Not saying Kojima like brings in like the sales and stuff, but I feel like you're gonna have people like that when they're like the minds of gaming. There's gonna be a line drawn in the sand with one of those, and I think it'll be like. It's tough because, like you said, you want to calm down, but yeah, I like that sounds broad, but I feel like in the next 4 to 6 months, we're gonna get another big one. Like I said, I'm just waiting for some of those really big ones to see what happens.
Check this out here. Like I just pulled this up because I was curious. Like, where does the Bungie acquisition go in terms of like all time, just like big acquisitions from video games? And this is a Wikipedia article I just pulled up. So this, I don't know how I haven't fact checked this, but that's number 7. That's like the 7th biggest acquisition of all time. It doesn't seem like that, right?
No.
Like Bungie, but in terms of like just the money that is involved in like this one, I don't know, man. That just seems like a crazy amount of money for me. But obviously they have a lot of smarter business people than I. So it's crazy stuff.
It's worth noting too, because I saw this kind of like following the whole Activision purchase and everything like that. I don't know these departments or whatever, but like Federal Trade Commission, Department of Justice, like looking at like they're the kind of groups that monitor like large mergings.
Yes, antitrust laws and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I think when it comes to like the digital economy being merged into stuff like that, I think it's interesting. Like I don't think it's gonna like stop what Microsoft is doing here with Activision Blizzard. I think that's going to go through, but I think after that and after the whole Bungie thing, I think it'll probably be a lot tougher for them to really acquire large companies to merge into, especially when you're dropping like over tens of billions of dollars.
It's so tough though, because with times changing, because like I remember like when you get into that monopoly conversation, like it was about, I think it changed maybe less than a decade ago, but it was something where like, okay, Disney's such a big company, they could not legally open up their own theater, but now times are different. They actually can if they want to start a theater chain. And it's the same thing where right now it's one of these things that these things can kind of not, I won't say easily change, but they can change over time. But you do have to watch, the sort of monopoly of it all and see where it goes. But that's where it's just like, all it takes is a few little laws change here, or little people pitching like,
I think
why
we're
this
so
is best
far
for us.
from monopoly. Like I'm not too familiar with the law on that kind of thing, but I just think we're so far away from that. We think about Sony and Microsoft because those are obviously very like gamer-facing companies that have personalities that we know of, but like Tencent is huge, Embracer Group is huge, Nintendo is just off in its own world.
When's Nintendo making some purchases?
Take-Two Interactive is also huge. So there's just so many things in their way that I don't think we're anywhere near the monopoly, like actually being a viable thing or like something that would stop Microsoft from scooping up more. But at the same time, I think they spent like half of their working capital on like that Blizzard Activision thing. So they only have so much money. They don't have unlimited money.
I want Nintendo to buy Rockstar. Just fucking shake up the whole world,
Oh my god!
It's just like Nico Bellic in Smash.
GTA. Oh yeah.
All of them, Smart Bruce and Smash. Just a GTA Smash with all your favorite shitty, greasy people,
S-Pubs was asking what the biggest acquisition was. It was Microsoft with Activision.
What was number 2? Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. I knew that was
is Take-Two Interactive over Zynga, which happened also in January. Like this stuff is like all happening right now. The numbers just went, and then Bethesda was number 4. It's just, and then Activision Blizzard acquiring King, which also we talked about. All of that involved the Candy Crush people. Like that, all of these things are just.
I don't know what S-Bubs is getting his facts from.
S-Bubs thinks Dylan was talking about Activision being number 7. He's saying the Bungie one was number 7. S-Bubs there. Come on now, watch it. One bad scoop and your tier goes down. We've seen it happen to the best scoopers. But
I might have misspoke. I'm pretty heated. This is such a a fiery time in the games industry. So could have missed.
Anything else to add on the Bungie Sony purchase? It's just going to get more and more interesting as the weeks go on, I think.
The Zynga purchase was $12.7 billion for Zynga. That's
number 2, though. That's so funny. Like the big jump from 2 to 1.
It's like
60 billion plus. Just like
till Nintendo buys Rockstar.
I just
Zynga,
love Mario.
You guys know what games Zynga's worked on, right?
No.
Name one.
They did like the Farmville. It's like the most prominent.
Well, there you go. That's money right there.
They have like a
Yeah.
bunch of slots, like Willy Wonka Casino
metaverse bucks.
pokies. Like, oh my
Oh
god.
god, that sounds dirty.
It's a
Don't
big,
say that.
it's a big fan base, man. Big
Yeah.
player base.
You're gonna get
And
us
they're
booed
they're
off
mostly
YouTube.
like a mobile developer, right?
Mobile Facebook games.
Yeah,
that sort of
that's
stuff.
so huge in Asia. Like that's just they probably already
Yeah.
made all that money back like within a month.
Yeah. Crazy. Well, Dilmas, thank you very much for joining the town hall, and thank you very much for
Yes.
joining this. So yeah, we'll be seeing you around a lot more often and whatnot. So yeah,
We
can't
gotta
wait.
get like a Infinity War fading away effect for when someone pieces out.
Oh, I
Feels so
wish.
good.
Yeah,
when
yeah.
We just boot you instantly.
Yeah, good to be
It's
back.
kind of
Yeah,
potentially
cool.
a big spoiler, but is that a thing that people? I don't
No,
know.
people
I think
know
that's
about
pretty
it
safe
now.
at this
But
point.
so yeah, you got the game show next week, and then you'll be back on this channel for the Golden Geeks 2022 edition.
Mhm.
So Dylan's caught up; he's seen a lot, so it's gonna be a feisty one. So can't wait.
Yes. Very
All
excited.
right, talk to you later, sir, and we
Okay,
will
have a
take
good
it
night.
out.
Bye,
Peace
everyone.
out. Goodbye.
And we will take our second ad break because you heard our first ad break that I edited in later on. So we'll be right back. And we are back. So let's talk about gentlemen, by the time this drops on the feeds, we are 31 days away from the Batman. Am I right about that? Really? I feel like I'm wrong about that.
mind-boggling.
Yeah, it's 32 days away now. So I feel like I'm wrong about that, right? Is there?
No, you're right. Because February's tomorrow, man. And then it's right.
Yeah,
at the
but
start
if
of
it's
March, right?
oh no, I remember why. Because there's less days in February. Because February 4th, I'm like, oh, isn't it a month from now? No, but so you got that going on. Tickets officially on sale February 10th. So look out for that. So I'm gonna look it up here. We're gonna talk about things that Kirkland just absolutely loves. Potential, not even spoilers, just just things about that. February's less days. Thank you, S Bubs. But I'm gonna pull up one thing. So there's one thing you guys can talk about quickly while I find the two facts. Is as of right now, there's a rumor going around that Joker 2 is going to be filming next year. So if it's filming next year, we'll be getting a 2024 release date. Taylor, are you on board or not on board with Joker 2? And then also, how do you feel like it's going to bounce if we got the Batman and Joker maybe going like back and forth as far as separate films? Because I think we can safely say that Joaquin Phoenix is not this Joker's Batman. So that's the word right now that it is filming next year.
I am totally okay with it. Them just kind of paralleling each other, even though they're different. I mean, I'm used to it with the Batman. I mean, DC's Warner Brothers have just kind of been spearheading this whole thing of having all these multiple actors playing multiple characters and just running with it in these films. I mean, this is a time when, hey, we got Joaquin Phoenix's Joker. At the same time, we had Jared Leto's Joker come back for, the Snyder Cut. So I'm used to it. I'm okay with it. Just get into it. If it's good content, I'm kind of telling myself that it's all part of the different dimensions of this DC universe, I guess you could say, kind of like the multiverse equivalent. So I'm just kind of running with it and thinking, yeah, this is just a Joker in another universe, so parallel to the Joker that could potentially be in other content as well. But yeah.
Same for you, Kirkland.
Yeah, I'll believe it when it's confirmed.
Really?
I don't know. I feel like my biggest pushbacks was just the possibility of Joker appearing in the first Batman, which that's not happening. So I'm a little bit more open to the news. I feel like my initial pushback was I just didn't want it shoehorned in there.
Shoehorned.
Or just shoe it in there.
Yeah.
Shoehorned in. Just for the sake of getting, some big names together like Pattinson and Joaquin. So I don't know. I don't know. I'm not gonna focus too much on it because it's not something I've been chasing. I'll kind of leave it there. Not really answer the question like a politician. Just
Oh, you're going to sound much like Matt Reeves when they ask him a question here in a second. Yeah, everyone knows me. I'm broken record. I'm for it. I'm always for more Joker. But the thing is, I'm always for more Joker if it works. I don't need more Jared Leto's Joker. So let's not kid ourselves. I'm not for always more Joker. But I'm for this because I know people say, oh, it's a one-off story. That's how it is. I guess when I watch, I could be a one-off story, but I could see multiple things they could do about it. You could go back in a review or when this movie was first rumored. There's just, I think, multiple routes they can take with this character. And when it's Joaquin Phoenix, I trust him. And the good thing is, like, lots of people wrote off the first one, being like, "Do we need a solo Joker one?" Made $1 billion as a rated R movie and won a bunch of Oscars. So clearly, it worked out. If they make a second one, if it's disappointing. So how many disappointing sequels are there? And then you still got the first one. I trust them to make it not enough where it's like so bad that I'd be like, oh. And at the end of the day, I was saying this with John Hazelton, a listener, that, hey, if it's bad, you can just pretend it's one of Arthur's tales in his mind. He always imagines this shit. That's all you can write off. That you just imagine and that's it, So I'm excited. I think there's just so much more you could do with it. And I don't know if I need the Batman, like a Batman. I kind of trust them. I'm down for whatever. So I do hope it happens, and I hope we get the official confirmation soon. But so we have two things. As always, if you want to skip away, there's cutouts or there's, just skip a few minutes and whatnot. Again, nothing too spoiler. But here, so obviously, months ago, there's been lots of rumors about a potential Joker in this movie and yada, yada, yada. So I have two things for you. Kirklin's going to love this. I got an interview statement, but then I also have a sound clip from a TV spot. And so we're going to start with this. Deadline. Is it true we'll also see a very early on the take of the iconic Batman villain Joker in the film? Matt Reeves. Of course, you fucking idiot. No. He said Matt Reeves. The internet is full of rumors made up by random people. I don't really want to comment on that either, but I rather emphasize you shouldn't believe everything that is written by certain people. In general, you shouldn't deal too much with rumors and interpretations in front of a certain film, but enjoy it casually and let it sink in. I hope people will refrain from spoilers, etc., so not as not to spoil the fun for those who haven't seen the film yet. This is a man who, if Joker is not in your movie, all you gotta say is no. Not this time. I'm happy with villains. He doesn't even answer the question. He just says, the internet is full of rumors made up by random people. That's not even addressing this. I suppose 100%. That is Feige response 101. If this man did not have directed a DC film, he would have been perfect in MCU. Because the way Feige half answers things and just coasts, there's not a single denial, not a single he just tries to get off oh, you should just enjoy the love of films and cinema. I don't know how this works, and maybe I will one day, but I feel like if you are the press and you sit down and say, hey, you can ask anything about this movie, don't ask a single fucking Joker question. If you do, we're not giving you this interview and we won't come back. That's all. And at the end of the day, it's all right because there's already rumors out there. Sorry, it's happening. It's happening. It's gonna happen. There's when it's smoke, there's fire. There's too much. It's like Toby Andrews. There's too much stuff. But I just wish that they would just be like, "Hey, you're not gonna ask this," because that question is just he gets caught with his pants down. So Taylor, Phil, what do you talk about, or what do you think about Matt Reeves' comment here about the rumors of a Joker being in this film?
I think you hit it right on the head. If you don't specify, it just leaves it open for the fact that, okay, there's probably some truth to this, that it could happen. But it's almost like a catch-22 because then you have the whole, Andrew Garfield situation where they're blatantly saying no. And it's I don't believe you. So it's tough, but I'm more in the camp of it. I'm equating it to hey, they didn't die on screen, so they're gonna come back. I feel like it's that hey, they're not saying no, so it's gonna happen. And because what's the problem? Yeah, you say no, you say no.
Yeah,
that's simple. So
Kirklin, I feel like we've been on an interesting journey. When you had heard these rumors, I don't know if I'm for this, but as we get closer, we're 31 days away, and as more things pop up, and Matt Reeves gives his little riddle answer question. Are you prepared to see the Joker, a new Joker, coming up in 32 days, 31 days? Because it's happening.
Definitely not. I wouldn't say it's happening.
It's happening.
It's
Travis told you it happens.
I agree with you. He should have just said absolutely fucking not. And I feel like if I was in his shoes and I knew that the Joker was in it, I would have said absolutely fucking not. He's not in my movie. Because what the fuck's going to happen? They're going to call you a liar? I don't give a shit. I'm directing this movie.
Yeah.
Nothing is preventing him from... I don't know. Maybe he just really, really hates lying. We saw Andrew Garfield struggle with that during his press tour leading up to No Way Home. Mm-hmm. But
he liked lying. That's what he said. He had a good time lying.
I thought he said he didn't. I thought he
no,
said
he said
he didn't want to call it lying because he was so.
He said he was fibbing.
Up on it.
He said he was fibbing. Yeah. He said it was just a giant game of werewolf and stuff like that. So,
yeah. to my hopes. His comment isn't the most convincing at all. But I feel like I'm gonna have to lean and kind of just fib myself into not believing what's happening here, and hopefully I can just will it into existence. Because yeah, it's something I don't want right away, and not because I don't like the Joker. It's just I'm okay with the story that's been hinted at, but maybe I should just start preparing for myself.
No, you should fully
32
prepare.
days and
yeah. You should, and this is what's gonna happen. You are gonna prepare yourself. There's gonna be some scene. It's gonna be great, and then you're gonna come here and be like, "Wow, I can't wait to see."
I'll be the
this
one guy in
Joker.
the theater just boo, fuck this, like
Fuck
Dylan
Matt
Moss when
Reeves.
Chewbacca died,
Yeah,
and then was brought back.
Where's Jared Leto? But like, know what? That'd be my ultimate fear is if it was just Jared Leto again. I was like, oh my fucking god, like I would literally die. So I have a clip that I think Taylor will be hopefully picking up here. Your internet better not be dropping.
It's ready to go.
Okay, so I'm gonna set this up for Kirklin because I shared it to Taylor because I know Kirklin always likes to stay away from spoilers. It's not a spoiler, Kirklin. It is an official piece of marketing. So there's a clip that came out. There's a TV spot. And people, again, skip if you want. Clay, I know you're somewhere skipping away. It's a TV spot. And the reason I'm playing this is because I think it's fun. I think there's a very chance that people... This is what I love about the Joker talk and all this stuff. When we're getting into this close to film, just the theory crafting and people losing their minds, there's a 4-second clip in a TV spot that has a character's voice and a laugh at the end. People seem to think that this is not Paul Dano's Riddler. People seem to think this is unknown actor, Barry Keoghan, unknown actor playing the Joker. So Taylor Field, I have this clip. I record on my phone. It's going to play a few times. I want everyone's take on this. I'm going to go to Kirklin first, but play it and let's hear this clip that people are thinking is the Joker.
I've always loved little riddles. 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 I've always loved.
I thought he was going to keep that going. I was trying to get him to cut. Okay, play the hour version. Go. So here's the thing where I like. Before I throw it to Kirklin, I think it's so tough because like it sounds like what Paul Dano's sound like he's very raspy and whatnot. I get the laugh that throws people off, but at the same time, if you listen to that voice, because with Barry, especially these two, I've really mostly just heard him do his natural accent. So I've not heard him do like an Americanized accent. So when I listen to it like that, I'm like, well, it could be. So Kirklin, what do you take from this? You think this is the Riddler? You think people are getting too hot off their bridges? Because people are also like, why would the Riddler say that? Like this is something the Joker could be saying to Riddler, like he likes a little, like, what do you think? Do you think it's just people are, because look at WandaVision, we had a whole era of people jumping to conclusions of Mephisto and stuff like that. So do you think this is that again, where people are jumping?
Smoke. It's the red smoke.
Do you think people are jumping to a conclusion here?
I don't think so.
We've beat them down.
Yeah, this cat sucks.
Yeah.
No, because it's easy to say, okay, well, it's not like the Riddler can't laugh and just be creepy. Okay, that's one thing. I think it's pretty specific, like a ha ha ha, very very tied to a joking type character, also known as the Joker. But also the voice. I don't have that much experience with Paul Dano or Barry Keoghan, but Paul Dano, especially just what I've seen from these trailers and him doing the Riddler voice, I think it sounds different than that. And if I had to pick one or the other, I think I would say that's Barry's voice. Because, I agree, because he's Scottish or something, right? He has a pretty heavy accent. But there's just something about the words. I feel like it really is him. And that's coming from someone that is just trying to will this out of the movie. But I think it's a tough task. But gun in my head, I had to pick. I'd definitely say it's Barry. And where did you see this? What TV
It's a TV spot. People went wild with it because it's just like, what is this? So here's why I'm 50-50. I legitimately do think it sound. I legitimately do think it sounds like Barry. But my problem is, and this is where I'm 50-50, and this is where I would lean to. For some reason, I bet it's not him. I just don't know why you'd even risk putting this in a TV spot. If Matt Reeves is going to be on fucking Broad Street, I guess he's not denying it, but he's like, I don't know. to me it's a weird thing of like, oh yeah, you know, the maybe one or two lines the Joker has in the movie, put him in the TV spot. That's where I go, I really don't know. It could be something looking back where it's like, okay, it was there, very clever, but I just, that's where I'm caught off guard, and I think it could also just be like they've used some voice modulation with Paul Dano. Sounds a little different. It was fun. I'm gonna share this on Twitter soon because I'm doing my countdown tweets. But I watched Prisoners last night. Fantastic movie. You know, Hugh Jackman, Jake Gyllenhaal, Paul Dano. Two things in there. It's so great. Hugh Jackman at one point has Paul Dano locked up. He says no more fucking riddles, which is fun. But at the beginning of the film, Paul Dano, when he's walking down the street walking his dog, he's singing Batman Smells, the Christmas song. It's just so fun how full circle we have. There's this dude singing the Batman Smells, Robin laid an egg song, and here he is going to be in one of the biggest Batman movies of all time. So Taylor, I'm kind of edging too. I think it's not him. Kirkland's edging too. It is him. You're Switzerland. You're Poland. Where do you think that is? They got, as Bob says, they got the amazing Spider-Man 2 marketing team from that TV spot. Oh yeah, that was they showed the ending of the movie in the trailers for Spider-Man 2. So where are you, Taylor? Where are you leaning?
Oh, this is tricky because I mean, you sent me that clip, and I thought at first like, because you're wondering like, what, do I notice anything out of the ordinary? I'm like, oh well, it just kind of sounds like him. It sounds like the muffled Riddler voice and all that jazz. But then you kind of like prompted the question, and I went back and listened to it, and I thought, okay, like in comparison, it does sound different. And I'm going to be in the camp to kind of go hand in hand with the last question you asked, where I think it is him, just based on the fact that they're beating around the bush. I feel like the fact that they revealed in a trailer, I don't think people are going to bat an eye or like actually like clue in. Like, unless you're like a diehard fan, you really notice that stuff. I don't think they're really caring though. I think because it's not revealing and confirming it, right? It's just people skeptical and kind of people going insane and like losing their brains over this kind of stuff. But I think that personally, he is in it, and that was them kind of tiptoeing around the fact.
I will say if he is in it, and if that's his laugh, I really like the laugh. That's a key thing you gotta do as someone that fucking hates Jared Leto's laugh, and it will cause my ears to instantly bleed. Like Walking had a great laugh, Heath had a great laugh, joke, but Jack did. But I feel like I like that it's like this type of like wheezing type of laugh and stuff like that. But I feel like this happened to us so many times. I'm gonna laugh so hard when we're sitting in the theaters and Paul Dano just says like, I've always liked little riddles, and he laughs. I'm like, oh, that was for nothing. Like he was just and that happens so many times. I remember the No Way Home trailer. So many people like, that's Defoe's voice, and it's like, no, it's Cumberbatch's. It was confirmed. It's Cumberbatch's. You know, so yeah, it's interesting.
What when Matt Reeves was asked, about Joker, and he's just like, did you not see the TV spot? Like that's him in there.
Yeah, he's in there. Barry's
he
playing him.
Completely did it on purpose, not trying to hide the fact at all.
What I would love one time, what they should have done, I would love it if they're ballsy to pull it off, is film a Joker scene, get this talk going, and the Joker not being at all. Like, he never intended to put the Joker in there, but just to, like, fuck with people, film
there'd
like
be fires in the streets.
Oh, yeah. But again, he'd be like, I told you. People make up rumors all the time, and stuff like, he'd be pulling some Feige action in the trailers and stuff.
4D chess. He doesn't have much time on his hands if he's pulling those tricks out of the book.
You know what I'm going to be doing if I'm making Batman one time? I'm going to be fucking with people all the time. But, anything else on Joker, Batman? This, I guarantee you it'll probably come up, but I feel like we're almost to that point. It's strange where we talk about movie for years and trailers and everything, but we're at that point where like there may be another newscast where we just don't talk about the Batman because it's so close. That's such a weird feeling that this might be one of the last like main topics about the Batman, because now it'll just be like the box office and the review, but we're close. Tickets on sale February 10th, so we'll see.
Absolutely. It's been one of those things that just had circled on the calendar. We're getting closer and closer. Doesn't seem real. So
well,
it's going to be a weird feeling when it's over. It's going to be like when Endgame happened. It's just like, what do I do with my life? Yeah.
Have you heard of Spider-Man No Way Home? You're like, oh. But that, Kirklin, you'll have that answer. When you go, what's next? You go, the fucking Joker. That's what's next, So what if the Joker scenes are, God damn it, what if the Joker scenes are part of the hour of the footage he leaves out? So that was one thing that did come out, that apparently some people had seen a 4-hour version of this movie. I'm fucking jealous of all those people, but that's probably an assembly cut that's not, like, most of it's completed, but it's still just like, okay, what really works, what doesn't. I don't know if I need okay, I do need it, but I only need it if Matt Reeves feels like, okay, these scenes I filmed 4 hours, like the same way there's Watchmen 5 hour version. Snyder's like, I can make this work. If Reeves filmed these scene, put them in, and legitimately is like, they're like, I don't like that. Like we've done stuff like that before. It's like, I just don't like that. Or let's not do this. Like if he did them, they just didn't flow, then sure. But yeah, I don't think there has been rumors, right? We talked about it before that they showed a cut with it and without it, and they're trying to decide what's better. And I've just always said that if there's legitimately a cut that has the Joker, they're not gonna not do that because that's just such sequel bait too. That is like what Kirklin said when people go, "What's next?" You have your answer right there, like right there. Boom. Oh, the Joker's next. Cool. Even if he's not in the next villain or the next movie, you have an idea. Oh, he's out there. Now, anytime you got Batman, Joker, and again, I know people are just la-di-da and stuff like that, and Batman, Joker all the time. But when you think about it, it has been 14 years since we've had a Batman, Joker solo film. Now, I know they interact in the Snyder Cut, but when they faced off, it hasn't been since 2008 since you've done that. And it doesn't seem like that, but it's been a long time. And I think it'll get the people going, you know?
Oh, yeah, I will.
Yeah. Oh, and I'm here for it, too. Bring me the 4 hour, 5 hour cut. Do it all. So, let's see here. Well, you talked about Kirkland circling dates. We can finally circle the date of March 24th, the Halo TV series premiere, the much anticipated, the much development hell Halo live action property, from it being a movie with Peter Jackson and Neil Blomkamp, for it to turn into District 9, to it being a movie, it's a show here, it's a show there. We've lost a creator, reshoot and stuff, all these things, but we're finally here. And again, that's like a March or like a month and a couple weeks away. Taylor, I gotta leave with you because you're the big Halo guy. Hopefully you win your Halo match this Friday. You know, hopefully he doesn't Briggs you. I know how he took years away from you. Dylan doesn't take Halo away from you, but
there'll be no review if that happens.
yeah. No, not happening on the channel. Not reviewed if Dylan's on it. But March 24th, we don't know for sure, but the rumor is that it's 9 episodes and going to be a weekly release. Obviously, we saw some TV spots before, but this was the full-on over 2-minute trailer. What do you think?
So, going in, like my first initial thoughts are like, okay, I know it's not going to be canon to the overall story. I'm the kind of guy that I've read none of the newer Halo books because I just kind of like fell off that bandwagon. But I think I've read all the original novels back when like Bungie was kind of rocking it, and like back when like 343 was just kind of taking off, and the storyline that kind of surrounds that original Master Chief tale. Him getting indoctrinated into the UNSC, him growing up in that kind of lifestyle and becoming the Master Chief, and the things, the triumphs and tribulations he goes through. It is incredible how the Covenant plays into that, then the Flood and the Forerunners, everything. It is fantastic. It is an amazing storyline. Now, when you get to this, I'm curious who prompted the idea, like, hey, let's just kind of like do a fresh take on this, do a different story. I'm not against that. I think it creates the opportunity to distance yourself from people holding something very dear to their hearts and kind of getting this weird kind of comparison in mindset where they attack it. I think for me, that's something that I really liked with Assassin's Creed. It's something that I really like with the Pokemon movie. They were trying to do their own thing so people can't relate and be like, oh, you know, where was Ezio? Or like, oh, why is Master Chief like this? Like, oh, they're missing out on the whole story. It's like, no, we're just ripping the Band-Aid off, different story. That's okay. Moving on from that, the aspect of it being him along the lines of like a program, kind of like unthinking for independent kind of being.
Terminator-like,
much more like a robot. I understand what they're going with that, and I'm curious to see how that pays off. At the same time, I feel like it's like 1 to 100 because yes, Master Chief is doing his orders and everything like that, but the later part of his journey is him more so realizing like, hey, he's not a machine, he's not just a soldier, he's a person, he's just people. And that's a big part of his discovery and self-reflection as the Master Chief in this journey. So I want that to be incorporated into the story, and as long as they explain it well and just have that proper development, then that's great. I'm all for it. But they kind of showcase the fact like, oh, why are you helping me? Like you're a Spartan. I want to elaborate on that. My perspective of that is, okay, she's an insurrectionist, and the Spartans were designed to fight human insurrectionists, and then they kind of got shoehorned into being, hey, these are actually weapons to fight the Covenant all along. And they were kind of like bending that narrative a little bit in their favor because to its core, they abducted kids, right, when they were little, and they made the parents think that the kids had died, and they took the kids into genetic tests and all that jazz. So I think there's a lot of room to go, a lot of wiggle room in this. Cortana, I'm not really like, I'm not hurt over the fact that they changed her. I think it's cool. It fits. Like, yeah, if you're doing a fresh new story, change up many of the elements too. They got, again, the voice actors.
What do they change about her for people like myself that's never played a Halo game in his fucking life?
She's like straight up blue. Yeah. And now here she actually looks like a human hologram, you could say.
Oh, yeah.
She doesn't have a thick ass anymore. People can't just sexualize her.
No.
Cortana had a thick ass in the games?
I've seen memes.
She had like,
I haven't played the games, but I've seen memes.
But we also
People
haven't
are
seen this
upset with
Cortana from the waist down, though, so we don't know.
That's true.
I hope she's a thick ass.
That's the next,
And
When
like,
you
TV
can
spot
let me
trailer.
know.
It's just like
a
zoom-in shot of this Cortana's ass.
And I hope Master Chief is a massive dick, like that Toby dick that was going around for a while. I hope
I'm sure he
that's like
does.
a big cod
I heard his
piece.
voice.
Oh, it's big. It's augmented.
No, I heard they chopped it off. I heard they chopped it off so he could move faster.
Augmented. No, they added a second.
That was something
Two
that I
cocks.
was two cocks. That was something that I was
The most dangerous man. Endurance, agility,
Needlers,
two
skill
cocks. Yeah.
that was something that I was intrigued by was when not the cocks, the the voice actor.
Oh fuck! Look, he has two dicks. Just running around like Willem Dafoe.
They didn't bring in Steve to voice him. I know you and me talked
Oh,
about that a little
God.
bit, Dirt Travis. I'm just kind of like curious on some more of the reasoning of that. It could be a million reasons as to why. And again, I'm not super like torn. Like, oh, I'm not gonna watch. This is not my Halo. It's not my Master Chief.
That's what he sent us.
He's a character. Yeah, he's a character that, I mean, we've never seen his face. Like he's in different interpretations, different perspectives. Anyone can play the Master Chief. I don't want to say like, hey, it's like Captain America or like a James Bond in that sense. Like, it's very similar to that, but at the same time, like, it's whoever has that mantle. You're in the armor. You're gonna be looking and representing that Master Chief. So it could be anyone that gets to play him. So I'm totally fine with that. I'm just excited to see the Spartans go into town. Like, seeing the elites. The closest I've ever gotten to having this live action Halo was with Halo Forward into Dawn, which started as a YouTube series, and then they pumped it out. I actually buy it on DVD and shelves and stuff. There is Halo Nightfall as well, which was okay, but not the same as Forward into Dawn. Just getting the Spartans fighting and seeing the elites and everything, it's going to be so good. And the trailer showed us like jackals, so many cool other elements of the Covenant, that even the prophets. And the narrative, too, of it looks like a human group that's kind of branched off and is like working with the Covenant or some shape or form. I'm curious to see how that goes, because I don't think the Covenant would give a fuck. If humans were like praising the Covenant, trying to help them, the Covenant I know would be like, you guys are fucked. We're going to kill you. I don't give a shit about the human race. Your whole race is a stain on the galaxy and the universe, and we need to eliminate it. So I'm curious to see that dynamic. But yeah, I'm predicting that we don't get Flood in this. If we do, it'll be the end of this first season. This is just going to be them fighting insurrectionists, Covenant, and then trying to learn and find out, okay, where are the Halo rings? They're going to get to the Halo ring near the end of this season, or maybe in the middle, and then at the end, that's when the Flood comes in.
See, I always appreciate when these things come out, because I finally know what these fuckers feel like when I'm ranting about comic book stuff. And I'm just like, I hope they understand this.
Two
like,
dicks.
And yeah, just wait till you see the Batman.
3 dicks.
Yeah, one for each villain. The Catwoman, and then the Batmobile gets in. But no, so I'll just say that. Never played it, like maybe tangentially, like, okay, I played around or something, like never played a full game. Maybe I will at some point in my life, especially now I'm like kind of getting a bit more back into first-person shooters, but we'll see. I got a lot more other games I got to pick up on. This trailer, I really liked the trailer. It had a good epic feel to it, so I liked that. Effects-wise, it was looking better, because I felt like the first teaser, the things they showed off, looked very sci-fi-ish. I think this one was a 50-50. I think sometimes it looked very grand and scale and epic. I thought, okay, this looks like almost like a Disney Plus or a very well made HBO Max show or even Netflix. And then there were times like, this feels like sci-fi. This feels like it just feels small scale. So I'm interested to see that balance. I'm surprised how much, like most of the time, I'd love to see what it was behind the scenes. Master Chief looks very CGI most of the time. And like, I'm pretty sure they do have a guy in the suit there, but there's so many shots of him when he's standing. It's just, maybe it's just like the grading they have on him. I don't know, but he just looks very Iron Man-y, but again, that still works because if that's the case, that's fine. But I always liked Iron Man when they had a bit more of the practical mixed with the CG. So we'll see. Story-wise, I don't have much to go on other than like what Taylor told me. They gave me a little bit. I know like the trope of this is going to be what we've seen before, at least from what they're proposing. There's this weapon, we've created it, and literally the trailer ends with what can you do with the most deadliest weapon if you can't control it? It'll be this guy slowly deciding, hey, I don't know if I should be doing this. Maybe I'm on the wrong side. Maybe I'm doing the wrong thing. But no. That's what this TV spot shows. They show the enemy saying, you're smart, why are you doing this? And the last line is that guy saying, you have this weapon, what can you do if you can't trust it? That's what this show, and like you said, just because it's based on the game doesn't mean it's going that route. And I think that's a smart thing. As I've said before, Star Wars trying to follow canon and like figure out the games, the comics, I think that hurts them overall. I think they would have been way smarter to go Disney, where it's like, hey, the comics are one thing, the games are one thing, the movies are one thing. So I'm completely fine with them ditching the canon for Halo and just starting from scratch or whatever, just like taking pieces of like a comic book and adapting it. So to me, that's going to be the trope where he's going to slowly go against whatever his commands are, whether there is someone bad in the organization or whatnot. At least that's what these trailers are proposing right now. That at first it seems like he's just a vessel designed for killing. It's going to show that no, he's not that. And that's what they're at least proposing in this trailer. And get ready, Taylor. Just like Kirklin, get ready for the Joker. Taylor, get ready for Halo and Master Chief to be
a sad year
up.
incoming. Yeah.
I wouldn't go with along the narrative of them being like, okay, yeah, we need to get to Halo because we need to use it or whatnot. Because yes, Halo is a weapon, but I don't think they go as far as like we're gonna go and we're gonna activate it, because it'd be like it's to activate it is suicide for everyone. So
I wasn't talking about the Halo though. I was just talking about the Chief.
The Chief being the weapon.
They talk about Kirkland, am I wrong in saying when they refer to like the most deadliest weapon you can't trust it, they're talking about Chief in this, aren't they? Because like they're spicing with scenes of him kicking ass. They're not talking about the Halo ring, I don't think.
I think I got confused how you were explaining it then.
I would agree that Chief is the weapon.
Okay,
That's
that makes sense.
They're saying they can't trust him to do whatever they say is the right thing, and I'm sure. And I'm sure there's still many times in the games where Master Chief is questioning what he's doing. Correct?
It happens only in the 343 versions, like later on.
Maybe
but
that's
the
what
counter,
their versions are.
The counter to that too, and the story canon narrative that they go with is like the Spartans represent like social, like disconnected tendencies that kind of separates them from being able to really connect with anyone on
they're going to connect.
I guess you could say. So
the same way I've told you before, get ready for that fucker's helmet to come off multiple times, Master Chief.
The counter to that is what they presented, and they highlight that in the trailer. Like, hey, to help combat these social disruptions that the Spartans exhibit, we present like Cortana and these AIs, artificial intelligence, that help kind of fill in that lacking companionship for them in their Mjolnir armors and all that stuff. The fact that it is a different narrative and not following canon, I mean, there could be, I'd give you probably like, I'd say 35% I'd give you that they could take Chief's helmet off, but I still hold like the 65 and going up that they won't take it off.
His helmet's already off in the trailer. It's already off in the trailer.
Doesn't count when he's a kid,
I'm
though.
going to put my chips on
No. Okay,
that
first
table.
of all, the kids, I'll agree with that. No, you see from behind when his back's all like cut up in surgery.
That's not
and then,
the same, though.
No, but that's how you start, and then you go. It's the same reason why
We've had that in the games.
What? Okay, maybe you will, but I just feel the same way we talk about with Mando, like, they're going to take the helmet off of somebody. The same way, unfortunately, we talked about with Boba, and maybe that helmet should have stayed on. Like, I'm not saying
just pearly whites on Chief.
Fuck. I cleaned my dick
Tamara
with
Morrison. It could be. Seen behind him. Just got CGI to beef him up.
That's just one of the reasons I think you do when you're like, why don't they get Steve the voice? Because they want a guy who can act and do so. I know you're like, just do the voice. But no, that's a pain in the ass. Just go get a guy. Just go get a guy who can act.
Go
and
get a
everything
guy.
like that. Yeah.
So Now this is something I wanted to follow up on because I got kind of confused and I didn't really respond to it. I changed the subject in the Discord chat, but SBubs dropped like a GIF of Craig. There's no need to be upset. And then you said underneath some of the CGI aliens look really good. Were you talking about Craig in that GIF, or were you talking about the show?
I was talking
this
about
guy?
Yeah, that's the guy.
Power your dreams. No, I was talking about the show when they showed that first shot of Arbiter. He looked great. He looked really, really good. I thought.
Is that
You don't think
confirmed
so?
to be Arbiter?
Okay, you did this with
An
the
elite.
fucking Cal on Mando, and then every day I just see like, look, it's Cal's droid. Look, it's Cal's droid. It's Cal. Like
I didn't
he's-
say that was Cal's droid though.
No, you said
Like,
the
81.
reverse. I said that, and then you're like, "Are you sure?" I'm like, "I see it everywhere." I'm seeing people do the Leo memes where they put Cal Kestis' face on Leo doing the snap to the droid. It's the same way. Like everybody, all my time was like, "Look, it's Arbiter. It's Arbiter." Whoever that is, I thought he looked very well. I thought he looked good, and I actually really like that one point where there's these two whatever aliens. I don't know. They're charging at Chief, and they do like a quick first-person view of him fighting them, and they switch to like third person. Very cool. That's like a fun little tribute to the games. I don't think that should go as heavy as Doom did, but like I think those guys looked good. So that's what I mean. It was more sometimes the stage and whatnot where it looked like we have that with Disney Plus sometimes, right? Where it's like, oh man, Mando's just on a fucking stage and he's walking around circles. Like that first season of Mando, it's like, is there not another block here? Like what? Like why does he keep just walking this specific direction? And that's sometimes just felt like so.
I like looking at the photo of it, like when I saw it the first time, I just thought, okay, it's an elite. I didn't really run with the idea that it was an Arbiter. I could let it. I mean, it could pass. The only reason I was skeptical is because a lot of the elements and the aesthetics of this show, they're very different. Aside from like the core like look of like these aliens, so I
Never
wasn't
played it.
totally sold on it.
Never played a Halo game in his life. I'm like, that's Arbiter, Taylor. I don't know. I just don't know. Look at that. I'm gonna get more on these Facebook pages, you know.
Do you know the Arbiter's actual Sanghelian name?
What? Yeah, Greg. Kirklin. Dickless Greg. Kirklin, what do you think about this Halo spot? You and Taylor gonna be reviewing it. Dill might be joining. I might check out the first episode. I think I might, all depending on, that's what I was just about to check the calendar. I think I might check one. I might watch along. But yeah, what do you think? It's coming out March 24th. What is the same day? Oh yeah, no, I might make an appearance on the debut episode. So
Yeah, so I like the trailer. I think when I originally saw that first like teaser trailer
Yeah.
thing that they had, not a lot was shown, but I think I got like a bit of a taste of what to expect, and I think this full trailer now kind of just confirms what I was anticipating, which was like a pretty decent show. I'm not expecting like mind-blowing quality or anything like that, but I thought majority of everything that was shown, like CGI wise, looked good. I think it'll be, like on par or let's see what I'd compare it to. I'm expecting better at Boba just for the fact that I'm hoping to like the characters, and I'm thinking it's gonna be hopefully near like Mando with like the side stuff shown. It's tough to compare with Mando because there's just a lot of nostalgia there with just like the Star Wars IP. I don't have a lot of attachment to the Halo thing. Travis Snell, GeekVerse podcast, wants a chance to show his true quality.
yes. Now I don't think it would be like this way as far as the content of the show, but do you think it's a way I can compare maybe the same way you get the same enjoyability as Peacemaker, that type of level? So I'm not saying the comedy, but just like I
Yeah.
think Peacemaker for the most part is at a certain level. I hope one time it gets to that A level where it's like some of the episodes of Mando or some of the episodes of Loki where we're like, holy fuck. But I think Peacemaker for me is like, oh, it's a really enjoyable show. I know every week I tune in, I'm gonna have a good time, but it's not like the A tier shows that I'm watching right now. It's not Euphoria.
Yeah, no, I think that's a fair comparison to make because just from what I'm seeing in this trailer, there was some combat sequences, and I'm really hoping to love all of the combat sequences. Taylor mentioned like seeing a jackal in there. I'm not the biggest Halo guy, but I can at least identify an alien with like the barrier shield, and just think of like Halo 1 of when I first experienced that, and like the elites looked really good. So I'm really hoping that all of that type of effects really hits home when it comes to the combat sequences, because I really don't know anything about Halo's story, but I know what the action looks like, and the action is very fun to play as. So I want it to be equally as fun to watch, and I think that's really what I'm hoping for this for the show. Story wise, because I don't have much to pull from like the main story, I won't be in a situation where maybe I'll think like the original story is better or this one's better because I don't have that much experience with the story, which is awesome because I can be more open to it and just jump in for fun. Taylor was bringing up those. It's almost like a separate human group that seemed to not be on the side of the Marines and the Spartans, and they look really interesting. I like their overall design of what they're going for. They remind me of, I don't know, just like the color tone of some Camonians, just all white. They look really, really cool. I'm really excited to see what their goal is because I feel like they're going to be something separate. Taylor thinks Taylor, you were mentioning they might be on the side of the Covenant or something like that. I think they might just
like
be
it because the one chick in that scene was like humans, like no match with the Covenant or whatever, and like people were
that
like
part
falling because those were like the hunters, like the worms that compile and form like a hunter. Those were all like falling on them and stuff. So
Okay.
Those worms worried me. That's when I was like, "Oh, this is looking very sci-fi-ish," you know. So the second you have that docile, "Oh, we've come here," I was like, "Oh, fuck, I don't know about this now. I don't know how I feel about her."
See, I was on the opposite side. I thought it was exciting because it was something I'd never experienced before on the Halo side. I actually just found out today that like those worms are what forms the Hunter. It kind of blew my mind when I found that out because they're such a cool like alien from the original game. They're absolutely terrifying when you first encounter them. So. But yeah, like I think some of the other like human characters that were shown off, it's like, okay, this is gonna be like a Mando level side character, which it's not a bad thing, you know, especially for Paramount Plus's first show with the Halo IP. I think what was shown was good. It was better than 50%, which maybe when you have a Halo IP, it's like you're striving for like really good to great. I thought it was really good that was shown. So. I'm excited. You know, March is absolutely packed. I'll have something.
Oh yeah.
Maybe I won't be looking forward to this. Maybe I'll be looking forward to something, you know, like 6 days after this, after Batman. But still, it's gonna be something fun to talk about. And again, just I think the effects looked really good, and I hope they stayed at that caliber, if not better, when the show actually comes out. Those energy swords, man, come on, just such an iconic weapon. So I'm excited to see that on screen.
You said you want some side characters like Mando. You want some "You're Stuck With Me Now," Master Chief. You know, some Toro. Yeah.
You know, for every two of the what was his even name? Toro Talahan or something like that?
Talakan, I think.
I was gonna say for every one of those, hopefully I get some. I was gonna compare it to someone else, but the only ones I can really think of are the sheriff, because he's super fun. I just always think of Taylor's video that he built up for us starting soon.
What are you gonna do?
Gets me every time.
Maddie, what you can do on Patreon is at any tier you can send in a question. We have our newscast. He asked regarding Halo. This made me laugh because I'm going to go first with this just because the way he asked it. Regarding Halo, would you prefer a TV series, which we're getting, that could span multiple seasons, or a live action feature film, which could possibly span into a trilogy, or a bomb after one film, but directed by a director of your choice? And like, I definitely wouldn't pick the last one because I feel that was a strange. Like, I guess, Matt, here you saying that like if I'm somebody that hates Halo and wants it to fail. No, I'm again broken record. I think majority. I'll say this stat. I think 75% of video games should be TV shows. If you look at the way they're laid out, side missions, everything, I think they just work that way. I think Witcher really showed, okay, look at what you can do. And I'm not even expecting the Halo to be Witcher quality, because Witcher quality is fantastic. But I think like we've seen that with Last of Us. The rumors Last of Us is already renewed for season 2 and stuff like that. Like we're seeing that with Fallout soon here. All these very big, massive games make much more sense in a TV show. Lots more time, lots more way to dive into it. So, yeah, and I guess you could say, oh, a trilogy because you got the higher budget and that could be like 6 hours. You could, but again, I just feel, especially like this, I feel like obviously games that are one-offs, those could be like a one-season show or a movie or something like that. But something like this where it has such a diverse and like huge universe, yeah, I think a show's the way to go. Taylor?
It's tricky because you could look at it in different ways. Now you could do a movie trilogy for Halo Combat Evolved, Halo 2, Halo 3, set in stone, done. There you go. Or you could elaborate on that. You could do the TV show focused on the events of just like the first Halo, which it would probably work in like a 6-episode series. You could really cover that really, really well. And then season 2, do Halo 2, season 3, Halo 3, and so on. But I almost feel like what my guilty pleasure would be 3 films, like a trilogy of Halo, not focused on the actual, like
not the bomb.
No, not the bomb. Not focused on the like the main games, but I would want the first one like based on the novels, where you have the Fall of Reach novel, which is before Halo Combat Evolved. Then you get the second movie, which is called The Flood, based on the Combat Evolved game, and then the third one, which is the fallout of that, and then bridging the gap between Halo 1 and 2. It's just such a fantastic book trilogy that I'd love to see adapted into a film. So
So you're just kind of all over, but you're saying the trilogy more.
Movies. I wanted the movie trilogy, yeah.
Oh, well, it's too late for you. Kirklin it's over for you. Kirklin Patzer, what would you go with?
I feel like I'm kind of in the middle. I think I would lean to the series. Just the series. If it's done well, you get like a really good 8-hour movie. Great content. And I feel like hopefully if it's bad, it's just like an episode or two that's just like a lesser amongst the rest. If I'm sitting in a movie and it's like 2 hours long and I'm just really not loving it, which was an experience I never thought I'd have, and then I went and saw Eternals, and Bob's your uncle. But I think with a series, it allows you to just get wild as well. You're not as limited as to the story that you're trying to tell. I feel like you can kind of weave in a lot of like underlining stories like during your main storyline or something like that. So yeah, I think there's a lot more potential with the TV series. But yeah, well, I'm pretty 50-50 on it. Like I think like a really well done trilogy would probably be better than a series, just for like the scale and like the polishedness of all the CGI and everything that you get on a big screen like that. But again, you get probably more potential for failure in that sense, because if it's just a single movie in a trilogy that doesn't hit, I think it can bring down the trilogy. So yeah.
Well, there we go. So Halo, we'll be reviewing that, so look out for that weekly series. So we're going to take our next ad break, and then we're going to be right back, I think, with our final topic and some viewer questions, which is fun, some Patreon questions. So we'll be right back, and let's talk about some Leatherface. And we're back. So this movie, of course, just everything is fucking coming out the 18th. Horizon Forbidden West is coming out. This is coming out. There's something else. Oh, Uncharted. So I'm skipping Uncharted. But I don't know if you saw in the Discord, Kirkland, but Dylan did ask if anyone was seeing Uncharted. So, if you do see it.
I saw that. I kept scrolling.
Okay. There you go. So
I don't know if I'm seeing it or not.
Don't expect an Uncharted review from GeekVerse, but I think you can expect a Leatherface review, because this is dropping on Netflix. I gotta say, this trailer actually kind of took me by surprise. Now, I've said this before, we'll have to wait and see what the actual plot. I hated the synopsis of this, of like Leatherface has become a good guy and then he goes back to killing. As we said, this is the same team that did Don't Breathe 2, and I hated that storyline of like former rapist, now good guy. Like, I just don't get their obsession, but the difference is that was, okay, he's gonna turn into the good guy and try and save the day. This is, I still don't know if I like the idea of like Leatherface just like started to be like hanging around town and then something awoke the spirit, but at least he's become the monster, and man, is he fucking off and becoming the monster. And I think that I want to get Kirkland's opinion.
Yeah, so this might semi-answer one of the Patreon questions too. I have only experienced the Jessica Biel one. I have no idea what number that is in the series. I think it was just randomly on TV one night.
It's a prequel, I think.
Oh, so an interesting way to jump in. It's like chronologically the first movie.
Is it? Actually, no, I think it's a reboot. I think it's a reboot, and the sequel's a prequel. Yeah, so it's a reboot. It's technically the first of its series.
Yeah, I feel like I've never been a big like slasher fan. I feel like this movie in particular kind of just grossed me out more so than scared me. Maybe that's part of the scare, is just getting you grossed out. But nonetheless, this trailer, I thought it was pretty good, honestly, for someone that's not really attached to the series. It very much felt like a Netflix trailer. not really a pro or a con. It's just for some reason it just felt like a Netflix trailer from, I don't know, comparing it to what was the Snyder one? This Army of the Dead. Yeah, it just reminded me of that one. There's a good amount of action. I feel like I was surprised with like a certain kill that they just showed in the trailer. I feel like that's kind of rare to have in a movie like this. Maybe I'm just mistaken, but especially like the comedy that hit, it was like, oh, okay, yeah. And then the Netflix logo came on. It's like, oh yeah, right. This is a Netflix trailer. It very weird take, but still, I thought of it, so I wanted to mention. But yeah, this is I'm kind of interested on like what the big fans think about this trailer, because for me it was just okay, yeah, this is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. There's some moments I feel like it was kind of silly. Maybe that's what they're going for. Just really interesting idea of just like completely abandoned town, and then like these youngins come in, and I don't think they're gonna end well. It very much just feels like a video game setting or something like that. So yeah, I wouldn't count me being on this review just because I'm not really attached to the series, and if Shay's home, she definitely won't let me watch this. So
No?
Yeah, I think I'm probably out
Just
on
tell
it.
Tell her it's a Tom Cruise movie.
I pulled that string before. I'm like, it's not that bad, and then we get like 20 minutes in. I'm like, fuck, I'm in the doghouse tonight, boys. So yeah, that's all I have to say, and I'll be back in a minute.
So anyways, as I was going for Kirklin really interrupt me. He messaged me. He's like, you better let me go next or I'm leading this podcast. Like, man, we just started this business together. What's happening? But no, I like the trailer. I think it showed a few things a little too much. If you've watched the trailer, there's just one kill in particular. There's like this great shot where, and I guess like skip if you didn't watch it and you don't want to know anything, but there's this great shot when they're splicing a bunch of stuff. It's like glass and these hands are covered in blood and like banging on the glass. And I was like, holy fuck, like what is that? It's like, that's really cool. And then the end of the trailer, they show like, oh, he's on this bus and he's with these teens and whatnot. And then they like, I wish they didn't show that, because I thought, man, that's a really cool kind of like mystique. Like, what could this be? But no, I think the trailer overall looked like a really good time. I'm down to see another horror movie because I loved Scream, the newest one. And other than that, I think there was some ones near the end. But I'm down for like a slasher one. I did not enjoy Halloween Kills as much as Taylor did. This movie feels very much like the 2018 Halloween, where it's like you're reintroducing the original, Scream Queen, and she's like, I've waited all this time to see Leatherface again, and all this stuff. Like, she's hunting him down, so they hit on that. But yeah, I think some of the imagery was good. It looked a little like it looked quite scary, gory, and I don't think scary in the way where, oh, I'm gonna be scared going to bed like Hereditary or something. I think in the way of just like, it's just, you're going to have this mass force and you're not going to be able to stop it. So to me, what it looked like is a good time. And that's kind of always what I'm looking for with these type of horror films. When it's the slashers, torture porn, stuff like that. Like, it's a good time. If you get anything smarter, better than that, great. But I enjoyed it. And I still really like the logo that they have, like the Texas Chainsaw. It's just like the chainsaw running. I really like that's the thing. I really like the colors of this trailer. And Leatherface is looking scary. So, Taylorfield.
So for me, I don't have a strong history with Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I've seen little bits of like the old original ones and stuff like that. Which original ones, couldn't tell you. I think there was one that felt like 3 hours long. It was on like VHS, and I watched it. It was just so long. There were tunnels everywhere. A guy with a chainsaw, just crazy. But I've always been kind of interested in it, and I was always kind of freaked out because I was always told like, hey, based on a true story, which now I understand a lot of it is become more so embellished, and it is based off of like an actual individual in history, but many more of the aspects are much more kind of flamboyant than for the movie's sake and popularity, which is fine. I think Leatherface has become one of those major iconic characters up there with like Freddy and Jason and Leprechaun. But as far as this goes, I'm very excited to do a review. I mean, yeah, it's popping on Netflix, so easy enough just to pop it on and watch it, and it just looks so terrifying at moments and just like heightened like terror. It kind of gives me vibes of Halloween where you bring back this OG character, and
Yeah.
she's like, I've been waiting for this. I honestly thought, like, where's Michael Myers? 'Cause she's like, yeah, I've been waiting for like 50 years for this moment for him to come back, and then she's just going and get the guns and everything to go to town on him. So I'm excited. I like seeing old rivals like square off, even though I don't know these old rivals. So I'm just down to learn about this and just kind of, I'm ready to move into the town like these kids are, and just kind of like not get murdered.
So I would say for benefit, I would maybe at least just try to watch the first one before this.
Which
one.
one's the first one?
Texas
Not
Chainsaw Massacre.
Like the
Not
very
the
very
Jessica
first
Biel
one?
Yeah, not the Bill. Yeah, the very first one that came out like decades ago now.
There's 1974,
That's the one.
1986,
You're about to say there's
1990,
19.
1995, 2000, 2003, 2006.
there might be
2013,
19 soon, but yeah,
2017.
start with the 71. Do that one.
Fuck, maybe that's the one I watched.
Yeah,
No.
you're at an older age, you may appreciate a bit more, but yeah, I'd say because I remember this is I think supposed to be one of those where it's a ignore everything after, and this is a direct sequel to that. So that's what they're going with.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So Maddie's question that Kirklin already, budged in line to answer, but he asked, where is it? Okay. So Texas Chainsaw Massacre, has GV seen the two Chainsaw movies from the early 2000s, the one with Jessica Biel and the beginning? As a big fan of both film, what are your thoughts? Perhaps some retrospectives. I wish, Maddie, that's something that maybe in the future we'd love. There's still a Halloween retrospective one time that we gotta try to do, but don't think it's ever gonna happen. So no, it won't happen now. I actually really liked them, and they were movies that was I think Platinum Dunes, and that's when. It's funny because they did that, and then they got the rights. That's a Michael Bay company. They got the rights to Jason, and then they got the rights to Freddy. And the Jason remake I actually really like as well too. The Nightmare on Elm Street one is god awful, just god awful. Of course, like My Boy gets the god awful remake. That's put him in like movie hell for years. Like that, like the fact that we haven't got another Nightmare on Elm Street where all those other movies popping off, I don't understand, but. I really like them. I remember a really great moment is when he's after Jessica Biel and he kills the boyfriend. The next time Jessica Biel sees Leatherface, he's wearing her boyfriend's face like over his face, so like you just see like the guy run, and like it was especially at one point he like gets her and he's turning up, but it's like the boyfriend's face. Really, really creepy stuff. And I can't remember his name. He was in Full Metal Jacket and Toy Story. He plays like the sheriff, like the uncle that becomes the sheriff. He's such a good actor. Oh man, I can't remember. I'll look it up when these guys are talking. But no, I really liked it. Even for the beginning being a prequel, I think they just had something pretty unique about them. They're pretty gnarly, but they had a good cast as well too. Like I remember that first one when that girl just randomly takes a gun out of her nether regions and then shoots herself in the head. It was just like it was some crazy shit, but it was I quite enjoyed them. I remember like a good double feature. So Taylor, why'd you make that face? You don't remember the nether regions gun?
No, like just as you're talking, there's a new setting. I don't think you guys notice this, and if you do, it blows me away. But just talk. I'm gonna click something here. It's a new feature. Talk about something.
Okay, I'm talking.
Okay.
Sure. Yeah.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Believe
Like
I got-
background music? Oh boy. Yeah.
You
get
just
rid of
click
that.
it
That's
in.
what we're talking. Yeah.
Oh god. Where did you find this in audio?
It's just no. It's on brand under background music.
Really? And they just put their own music there?
It just
Oh,
says
that's
new.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was looking at that earlier. Lo-fi.
Wow. Yeah, like we're definitely not gonna do that. So you can get rid of. Well, actually, what's night driving? What's night driving?
I want to know feeding the ducks. Well, this is
Is
pretty
night
calm.
driving?
We're gonna go full 100.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Oh yeah. Look at that.
Oh shit.
Is that a male prostitute out there? Good. I hope he has 2 dicks. Oh yeah. Night drive. Oh fuck! On the face.
What's feeding the ducks? Give me some ducks.
Feed the ducks.
Who's feeding the ducks this music?
What's feeding the
Come here,
ducks?
ducks. Give me a little
Get your
quack.
ass over here. Yeah.
Kirkland just unzips his pants.
Feeding the ducks.
This gets me going.
When you're feeding the ducks,
Fun.
don't unzip your pants. They might play something else. Oh, whoa. And you can just loop it. You just have it on the loop for a full 2 hours. Oh my god. Okay, cut it. No, there's some podcast YouTubers that do that. I feel like if you're like a gaming stream that works, but I feel like as a podcaster, if we're talking, it's weird.
I've
Just cut
listened
it.
to one, and they had the music so loud. I'm like, I'm so interested in what they're saying, but I just can't because I just can't hear what they're saying. It's just too much. So take that note. You know.
Ew, what's up, Fracture
podcasters.
Wolf? It's been a while since it's been in the chat, so
It's been a while.
he's waiting for the Marvel times, but to come back. Taylor, you haven't asked yet. What do you think about those early 2000s Chainsaw Massacres? Have you seen those ones?
Oh man, a long time ago. I wouldn't be able to remember them much. I think the 2013 one was one that I had seen, but would have been like off and on. I don't remember much of it.
Those new ones fucking suck.
I was just looking at I just was curious. I pulled
Matt
up a
Bomber's in
trailer.
the beginnings. Matt Bomber's great.
I pulled up a trailer for the 74 one, and
Yeah.
it's just I love how he, I'm gonna have to watch this for sure then, because I love how he just slides open a wall and he's just there.
Yeah.
And then it clicked. I have this meme that I have to share because it's freaking hilarious. This is so good.
So the meme is it's a lovely couple up top, and it says hugs from behind. They're looking all loving, and then below is Leatherface grabbing a victim and pulling her in the house, and yeah, it's an unfortunate.
That one
tale.
scene too that they cut short when the one, I think it's the main girl. She's staring down Leatherface, and he just cocks back his sledgehammer, and he's totally about to throw it. I'm like, is this just the end of the movie? Is this just how she fucking dies?
You thought that too in the first Halloween trailer when they show Michael in the window and Jamie Lee shot the window. You're like, oh, that's it. That's the end of it right there. Yeah, I guarantee you she rolls out of the way if he just hits her with that.
That was
So
a
it's
wicked
the
throw
Matrix.
though. I thought it was gonna
yeah,
come on the
dodged
screen
it.
and hit me when he threw it.
Yeah. So
It might in the 4D version.
anything
Stay
else?
away from the 4D theater.
Anything else on Leatherface?
Excited for the game.
Right, they are making.
Forgot
that.
about the game.
So we have a question from a new patron, Charlie. Big thank you very much. Just joined this week. So, Charlie, you can respond if you listen to this. Respond. I have messaged you on Facebook or on Patreon. Eventually, in March, we're going to be recording the Patreon exclusive. So around that time, maybe we can get your Patreon exclusive movie and go from there. But so he asked 2 questions. Well, actually, he asked 3. So he's asked, and this is funny because I'm not sure. I haven't listened to DC Lions last week because I only take so much of Fanboy Clay. But he said, in Peacemaker, there was a weird alien Wi-Fi router-looking box was found in the apartment of the girl that Chris slept with from the bar. Do you think this could be something big for the future of DC, like something set up the Reach Scarab, Blue Beetle tech, or just some weird new alien race or something that we've never heard of from James Gunn? Now, I want to bring this up because I'm not sure this is where maybe he said, and you're asking those pictures of us. And Clay did want me to ask this, but he's like, oh, Kirklin and Taylor aren't going to know what I'm talking about. There is, if you guys look at Blue Beetle, there's 2 versions of Blue Beetle, but the newest one is an alien, scarab, attached to this guy and, forms around him. And it's very... Did you guys ever see a movie back in the day? And Taylor's for sure gonna have to see this, where there's a kid and some alien comes down, and the VHS cover had a thing where it was 3D, where you would move and it was a kid, and then it would be the alien. He had an armor that would form around his body, and things like that. But it's kind of like that, and it's almost like a Agent Venom sort of way. It's one of those probably a B-rate really bad movie. But I thought
Was it called Star Kid?
Oh, maybe bring up a share page, bring up the stare page. That has to be it. I think it was Star Kid, and it's one of those movies that it's not great if I remember, but it was something like that where an alien attaches to him. An alien attaches to
terrifying.
him. That's it. That's Star Kid.
That
Fuck
is
yeah!
terrifying.
And that cover you have right there.
Look at that.
You would move it and it would go back and forth. I'm surprised it's not a Taylor special. Yeah, you have.
I don't remember any of it, but I know I've seen it.
It's one of those movies you don't think exist until you see it again, and you're like, "Oh my god, this was a real movie. It wasn't a fever dream." It's the same way. There's this movie that I hate. I have no idea what it was. I watched it at my grandma's. I got scared, so I didn't watch the full thing. But then I manned up. I went back to watch it. It's this woman is divorced from someone. It's a horror movie, so she goes to just stay at this cabin, and there's this guy that talks about this killer, and and he would rip up his victim. He's talking about this in the barnyard, and the big twist is the guy she's staying with is the killer, but I can never figure out what it is for the life of me. I don't know. So did I miss the Halo review? Yeah, a little bit. We reviewed the trailer, Fractual, so you can go back. But anyway, so that's what Blue Beetle is. I think that's going to be the new one. Clay had brought that up too, because this idea of butterflies taking you over, maybe enhancing you. It's stuff because I just responded with, I said, I don't know if Warner Brothers is that smart enough to set that up. But it's so funny that the actor, Steve Agee, or I can't remember how you say it, whoever plays John Diebeard, he had mentioned, and he kind of let slip, that Harcourt is supposedly going to be in Black Adam, which I did not have that pegged in my bingo chart this year, that she's going to make a cameo. So that might make it seem like they are doing a bit more connectivity. So do I think it's it? No, I'm just going to say it's something else or something new. But do you guys, like, again, you guys can't really speak to this, but do you think they could be using Peacemaker all to set up anything else, like a Blue Beetle movie or just something else down the line, DC? Or do you think it's going to be pretty self-contained?
It's smart if they are doing that. Even if it doesn't lead anything, it's always good to just plant seeds. That way, if it all goes well, then, you know, they'd be like, oh, we're Marvel too. We can plan ahead. It's funny that, like, when I read that question from the Patreon, like, I I kind of forgot that happened, because they haven't really talked about it throughout the show, which would be really fun if it does lead to something, because, again, it's just expanding upon this universe, which is something that like Marvel's doing so fantastically well, of just like world building, just especially now that we're in our Disney Plus shows, like just really diving into like really side stuff that isn't essential to like a main Avengers type film, but it just fleshes out the world more. I hope that is the case for this, because I think Peacemaker's pretty good. I really liked what I saw from Suicide Squad, so if we're just expanding upon this universe, I think it's a thumbs up. Great idea. And before I pass to Taylor, imagine if this is what we got when it was like the inside of like Tony Stark's just like helmet.
Oh, is that Star Kid?
That's
Star
Star Kid.
Kid.
That was his point of view. I love how he has like the nose and everything.
This thing's gonna fucking eat
Fuck,
him.
it's that's like Leatherface's point of view.
Oh.
100%. Oh, 100%.
Taylor, do you think Peacemaker's setting up anything big, or you think it's just coincidence?
Oh, it's absolutely a setup. I feel like that's. I don't even have to. I won't even say like, okay, James Gunn is going to be attached to any of those projects, but I think they looked at him like, okay, like give us a great Peacemaker show stemming off of Suicide Squad, and then let that kind of open the door up for many other things. And I think that's what the show's doing. It's adding all these little like Easter eggs and cameos from the DC world, and what do we got? It's the same. It's gonna finish when Boba Fett finishes. So we got what, 2 episodes left? Is it 7 episodes? Because we're on episode 5.
We got 3. We got
3
6,
more?
7, 8. It's 8
6,
episodes.
7, 8. Oh, okay. So I feel like there's plenty of time to just kind of throw in a few more little things and kind of set up whatever they want to set up. If she is going to be appearing in Black Adam, then it must mean that this story will come to a close or wrap up in some shape or form, so that she can move on to her next mission, I guess. So
yeah,
interesting to see how that goes. I can't see the humor and the dynamic that's involved in this. I don't see carrying over to Black Adam. I feel like everything I've represented in Black Adam is so different. You're not gonna see like Peacemaker show up in Black Adam scrolling through vaginas, shots. Yeah, like not gonna happen. So she'll be much more serious.
Dude, we totally fucked. We full on fucked. That's it. We full on fucked. Oh yeah, if Black Adam, see, I like the humor of sort of. If that was Black Adam, man, I'd be really disappointed. You just have John C. and The Rock just making fucking fools.
Someone's head just absolutely explodes.
Hey, how can I help you?
I don't know. That teaser was pretty gruesome. I think he froze.
He froze. I was like, "Oh, is this my internet acting up again?" It shouldn't be.
Really,
okay. He's just really happy.
He's like, just can't stop laughing.
Yeah, he just had to sit on it. Yeah. There he is.
That's good.
That was funny. Yes, I get what Kirklin saying with the heads already exploding off and stuff. Yeah. And then he asked them 2 other questions here. One, they said just more for me, so sorry guys, but he did ask me, because I was one of the guys that he asked me a bunch of questions, and I think it was Marvel Alliance 55 is when I gave a bunch of like recommendations of Moon Knight. And it's tough because he took the answer from me, but he says, also more trash question, but who is your absolute favorite Moon Knight villain besides himself or Khonshu? Well, those are usually the first 2. Like, that's the thing. Like, so It's tough because I kind of go with the obvious of Bushman because I feel like Bushman. I don't want to say too much because they'll probably meet him in the series, but he's a character that the second he's introduced, because he has a personal grudge with Mark, it is like personal. It's down to the core, but I also just feel like he's always scary and unpredictable. He's one of those very just type of violent characters. He's like Punisher, but on the bad side, where it's just anytime Bushman is around, you don't feel comfortable, and you feel like even though he's not like a supernatural dude, he is a threat and he can take you down at any moment. You don't know what he's thinking. So Bushman's probably the next one. It is Khonshu. Khonshu's in his mind, stuff like that. That is the route to go. I think the rest of his villains all have like fun stuff, but there's no one that really stands out. Like Kirklin's gonna love if we ever get to Shadow Knight. That's like his Venom. It's like a blacker, darker version of Moon Knight. It's his brother. So yeah. So there's stuff like that. There, like you got Sun King, who Ethan Hawke might be playing, but there's. And I have to read the new one because the guy that had lots of potential is Moonhunter, and I have not read it, but they've kind of proposed it as a way where he's another guy that can speak to Khonshu, but he's felt that Mark Spector or Moon Knight has lost his way, so he's going to go after him and take him down because he feels like he's not representing Khonshu and the journey and the mission well. That was a great pitch. I've not read the new. I only read that first issue. I'm kind of waiting for a few more to build up. I want to read them all. So that pitch was good. So I think Hunter's Moon could have some possibility, but I think they really got to do a better job as far as making those villains really stand out. But again, at the end of the day, it is more just about Moon Knight in that aspect, right? So, and I can't remember. There's the cyborg dude. He's kind of fun. I'll have to look at what these guys are talking about. Taylor, sounds like a season 2 type of villain. It's so tough because it just depends. I think what's going to happen is, to see my spoilers, Bushman has a lot to do with Mark Spector's origin in the Moon Knight. I think we'll get flashbacks with Bushman, but when you meet him again in present day, that could be in season 2. I think they will at least allude to Bushman. So, Taylor, he also asked, what type of score do you think or would you like out of Moon Knight? I'm going to look up, from forgetting the character's name, who's like a cyborg that he fights. But, Taylor, what are you expecting from Moon Knight's score?
I mean, I don't envision something fast-paced, action-packed like Pirates of the Caribbean or something like that, or fast-paced like... and
it just... Oscar's losing his mind. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not expecting that either.
I would kind of go along the bandwagon of it being like an Inception-type score, or... I'd even go like Dark Knight Rises specifically, the score there, because it's got that like slow burn to it, that build up, and it's just this unease and suspense, and I feel like that's a trajectory that I would like to kind of see the score kind of take in terms of just bringing you on this adventure through the psychic. What do we got here?
I'm trying to get a clear. His name's Midnight. He's a cyborg that Moon Knight fights.
Are you not able
often.
to like pop a photo in the StreamYards?
What? Yeah, it's too much work. Look up Midnight.
Okay.
Christ,
the one I'm going with is not because of Ethan Hawke's in the show, but if you guys remember, maybe Taylor just referred to this, but is Sinister score. It had like kind of drums with it, like it was like it'd be quiet, but then when it had to ramp up, it would. Them using Kid Cudi made me question things because I thought, are they just gonna take popular songs and really give them like a theatrical epic feel? So that could be something. Like, I know there'll be an actual score, but I would love something like that. I would love something, if we're talking about the Disney Plus shows, a scarier WandaVision and that sort of deal, because Loki was a bit more upbeat. I'd want some of those darker moments in WandaVision. I'd like that. But yeah, I'm kind of thinking like something like a Sinister, where it has heavier moments, has a beat, so there are fight scenes, but it's underneath. It always feels like there should be a tension and stuff like that. So Kirklin, what about you? What sounds you want to be hearing when you see Mark Spector, or I guess Stephen Grant is our main guy right now?
I liked what you mentioned with Sinister. That's I'm not really a big score guy. I feel like I kind of am just in the moment. I noticed that it's uplifting the scenes, but it doesn't really like just stick with me. Like, oh yeah, this scene from Conjuring 2, like that is my score level. I doesn't stick with me as much as others. But yeah, I just from what I got from the trailer, I'm hoping for something just a lot more eerie. specifically that scene when he's just like in the elevator and Khonshu is just like coming up closer to him. Like I can only imagine just some really like nail biting music that just like really lifts the scene to be that much scarier. And I think that'll kind of be a theme of the show, and I think that'll translate over the score. At least I hope it does, because as I mentioned before, like the score just does such a good job at uplifting. What are you listening to over there?
I'm trying to find some.
Not mutes himself.
Sorry. Go ahead. I didn't know how much you can hear. I'll mute. I'm trying to find the sinister string.
It's just like, just fucking porn. He's got.
To Dick Daniel.
But yeah, I don't know. I'm expecting a really good score, and I think that just goes to show the caliber that these Disney Plus have or the Disney Plus shows have gone with on their music choices of even the ones that don't stick with me the most. I think in the moment they do a good job at just boosting those scenes. So my expectations are high, and I'm hoping for some weird stuff. The show's gonna be weird. It's gonna be something very different than what we've experienced in the MCU and in the Disney Plus shows. So
now let's hope this doesn't get too copyrighted, but I'll do a little bit of preview. Like,
That's terrifying.
yeah.
but think about that, like that sound when that's coming down the elevator or stuff, or like when he's seeing these spirits talk to him and stuff like that.
Taylor
like,
is
that'd
talking
be
to
some
spirits.
No, to Dick Daniel.
It's not my time.
Well, I'm still trying to find the one I really wanted.
I don't know why, but that audio, it just made me think of the scene from Hereditary when Toni Collette is just like crawling on the walls.
Oh,
I just
yeah.
got so scared. So yeah, music like that.
Yeah. How violent do you think Moon Knight will actually be? How close in line do you think they'll go? We've talked about this a few times, but how you feeling as we get closer, Kirkland? I'm gonna mute myself too because I'm still trying to find the real track of what I'm talking about. So,
I think it'll be. I mean, like if I just think of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, like it wasn't that graphic of like the violence, but I never would have guessed that we got that scene of John Walker with like the bloody shield after he just murdered someone. So that kind of pushes the boundary, at least for my thoughts of, okay, Falcon Winter Soldier isn't a really dark show, but they can still show stuff like that. So this is already going to be a darker show. I think it'll be, I think they'll be surprising people with how dark they actually go. But I'm not expecting like a Netflix level Punisher level of violence, you know, like our main character's not going to be covered in blood all the time, but I still think there'll be, I mean, just that one moment in the bathroom, like, yeah, he's beating on some sort of alien creature or something like that, but he's not like holding his punches, as Andrew Garfield would once say. So I think it'll surprise people, and it's exciting because I don't want them to just PG it. I want them to be dark and gritty and really push the envelope for what they are allowed to do on their TV show here. So, Taylorfield.
Well, I'm gonna turn into like a Leatherface, just start cutting people's faces.
Moon Knight's just like wearing people's face. Yeah. It's that shot of Space Kid or whatever.
Yeah, there you go.
Kid Alien. That's what it is.
Yeah. Sorry, what was the topic? What am I answering?
Just like what level of violence can we expect from Moon Knight? That's the question right there by Fractal.
I
How
think
close
you
to
could
the
get.
line do you think they'll go?
I think it's gonna be a little bit up there in comparison to like Hawkeye, where Hawkeye you had people getting like blatantly pretty seriously injured, but not Avengers level, like where it's like, okay. You have this dynamic where you can have like the aliens and the CGI things, like that Anubis-looking creature that he's beaten up, and I think you can really get further along the lines of like decapitating something like that or whatnot, because it's not a human, right? It's a different type of gore that's being represented on screen when you're playing with that CGI aspect. Now, if you have a human that he's beating up or something like that, I think they'll definitely draw that back and keep it within a realm of more PG-esque and that sort of stuff. So, and you see that in other mediums too, where even they're fighting like the Chitauri or something like that, and they're like just annihilating them or exploding them and killing them up. And then when they fight humans, it's like it's much more toned down. So that's
Well, look at Endgame. You saw Thanos' head get cut off,
Yeah,
but
you
it's
didn't
'cause
see
it's
that with
Thanos.
any humans.
Yeah. Here's the track I was talking about. It's when they're leaving the house. I don't know if it's an original track or it's someone else, but man, it's good. It's this one. It's the whatever that sound is. Just that over and over. Yeah.
I heard some moans in there. Are you sure it's not a porno?
No, that's the sinister porno. No, it is. It's just, but that's what I would want from a Moon Knight score. I'd want weird sounds. I want people like that's what I want. I want to feel unsettled at certain times, and then you have some heroic stuff. But I want a good theme. Especially when he enters the MCU, like some music hits, and you're like, oh fuck, Moon Knight's here.
Oh, absolutely. When he's like jumping from building to building, that last shot of him just floating through the air. It's pretty epic. I really. Again, just picturing certain scenes, but just from what I'm seeing in this trailer, I think there's going to be a lot of moments where he might think he's in a certain situation and then something quickly happens and it's just not. WandaVision had a few of those moments where it was just very like sitcom-y, and then all of a sudden something happened, and like sometimes there'd be no audio, sometimes there'd be a bit of an unsettling score, and I want that just cranked up a little bit with Moon Knight. It's like, okay, he's safe, and all of a sudden you just look over, it's just like Khonshu crawling over at him, and just some really like.
Fractural says, if this show ends up being great, DC world where we get season 2, that's radar. Is Disney trying to be a younger audience involved in this stuff? I do believe them when they say Deadpool is the only thing they're thinking about being rated R right now. I still think even with Blade, they're not thinking about that being rated R. I don't think they're thinking about this being rated R. I think that's still just the general juggernaut, and they want to do that. And yeah, I was gonna actually look up. Maybe I was gonna see if there's actually someone. I'm back on the Moon Knight score. If someone's composing it yet. But I don't foresee it really shifting to rated R stuff. I really don't. Any of you guys?
I don't think so. I think they'd be pretty bold of them to do, because you just kind of are alienating like a certain age group if they just really fell in love with the first season. Now they just can't watch season 2. I'm sure they would, but on paper they can't. So I think they wouldn't.
I agree.
Yeah, I'm not seeing any. People, they're not going to do that, but people say like Atticus Ross and Trent Reznor. Fuck, that'd be some good stuff for Moon Knight. But yeah, I don't see that happening. So, well, we did it. Well, no, and here's one last thing before I say this. Factual. You could find me the quote and send it in the Discord. I think when John Berthnell said, he wouldn't come back unless there are, he said he wouldn't come back to me if, I'm pretty sure the quote was, if it wasn't true to who Frank Castle was. And I also kind of don't believe him. I think he would come back if there's a nice size paycheck. But
fuck yeah, that dollar amount.
Yeah, I don't think he ever said rated R specifically. I think he just said it has to be true to the character of Frank Castle, and maybe that's why he won't come back, because it's gonna be tough to do that. So, but if you find that, let me know. So, yeah, we did it. Obviously, a really fun newscast, but some big announcements. Yes, we are. This is our first small. Well, I guess there's a few there, but really, since the announcement, this is our first podcast as a small business. Again, thank you to everybody that supports us. And yeah, we're going to have a really fun year. We're going to have a really big year. We're going to be working our asses off. Like I said, go back to the beginning if you haven't heard it. But yeah, we appreciate you. We hope you like what we do here. Please support us any way you can in the future, even if it's just listening to this on the podcast feeds for free. We absolutely appreciate that you spend your time, whether it's driving a car or driving with a car, driving with a bike, whatever you do, driving to work, working out, cooking, just listening to us for fun, playing video games. We appreciate each and every one of you. So we hope you're happy and safe up there. Thank you very much for everything. And when you hear from us next, which will be Boba Fett episode 6 or episode 3 or episode 2 of season 3 of Mandalorian, it'll not be next. Or it'll not be boring. Shit!